Hello, humans. It's your old pal you haven't met yet, Nate Chappell. I know what you're thinking. My, what a marvelous voice. And yes, I agree. I'm a comedian and video producer and husband and cat dad here in Madison, Wisconsin. And the Natecast is sort of an audio documentary that lets you ride along with me as I live my strangest life. So please, find the Natecast wherever you found this show, and you listen to me. Let me into your ear holes.
For the first time fucking ever,
we did
in
it!
the history of fucking Color Me Dead, we were silent for a whole 5 seconds.
That was like the hardest 5 seconds ever.
Yeah, it's hard for us too. So hard.
I can see where this episode's gonna go fucking rogue, quickly.
Yeah. Well, hi everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 19, where last week Ember fucking mouth banged all of the microphone with episode 19 when it was actually 18.
Yeah.
I got excited. I don't know our own episodes.
I don't
I'm
either.
the worst person, so whatever.
You don't even listen to them unless you're editing them.
Yeah, because we research, so I know what's going to be said. We talk about it, so I'm saying
I know, but it's
I edit it.
I know you do, but like the final product is my favorite thing.
No. I've already heard it 3 fucking plus times. I'm done. I don't give a shit, so I'm glad other people like it. But this week we are doing polygamy because it was our Leeeesteners choice.
So nightmares and polygamy.
Yes, and we have...
Can we get this fucking fan going? I'm sweating like a motherfucker.
Yeah. Levi, will you help? We have Levi.
Our manservant.
My house slave. I will not give him a sock. He will never be free. And we also have...
The wolf pack is in full mode today because we brought Nikki in as well.
Say hello, Nikki.
Hello.
So we always joke, and this is why she's here because it's appropriate, but we always joke about hashtag compound life. And that we're all going to be sister wives, except for we all have our own separate husband. Basically, we just help each other do chores and raise children and
cook and clean and
drink together.
That would be a lot for one man to handle us all.
There's no fucking way.
The conversation we just had before, there's not one.
Not one dude. They would all be like, I quit. Cut it off. Take it. I don't want it.
Split it up. I don't care.
Cut it in thirds. Figure it out, women. You each get a Dippin' Dot. Sorry.
I love you.
I love
a whole
you.
bunch. There are many things I will share with you. A penis is not one of them.
Yeah. I'm too selfish.
I just feel like that's...
Oh,
okay, listen.
Lies.
We fucking shared one, but not at the same time.
I'll share one with you.
I see how it is. Nobody shares with the young one.
We recycled. That's fucking different, all right?
It is. We didn't
And just so everybody understands this, her husband was my boyfriend for a lot of years before... I actually was the one that was like, you should go out with him.
But we all knew each other for a long time before. Well, I didn't know him.
Well, that's
but
what
I knew
I'm saying. Like,
you,
we didn't
and you knew
share
him,
the wiener
at
the same time.
Right.
Which,
you
fuck,
had
it
your
sounds so
out.
weird. She's like, oh,
See,
sure,
we're
sure.
already halfway to sister wives.
We are. We just need to initiate you. I'm gonna have to call for Clint.
I don't want Clint.
Tribute.
Clint, I love you, but I don't want it. No. 666.
Devil man, naughty jungle of love.
You keep it away from me. I will not take your dick.
I will spat that gift right out.
All right.
Poor Levi's just like, these bitches.
I know. It's a small town, dude. We have to, like, sometimes you have to recycle yours.
We're just going to apologize.
Which I think
now.
people think is really fucking weird that we turned out to be such good friends after recycling Clint.
Well, it would be different if you fucked him and then a week later Nikki started fucking him.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the case. It was like years and
I knew you would have since I was
12, 13.
13, and you knew him since you were 12 or 13.
Mm-hmm.
And it was way after you guys dated, so it's really not that weird.
So anyway, on to this episode.
I'm sure if anybody lives in a small town, everybody has probably fucked the same person. You know what I mean?
At least once.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon by the people that you've banged,
yeah.
I mean...
Just saying. So, apologies for how this episode may turn out. And it's partly because what we're going to cover is some pretty fucking horrendous bullshit.
Yes.
So we got a joke, and like we joke all the time that we're going to be polygamous and everything like that, but we're going to be the good kind. We're not going to be the kind
Is
that
there
we're
a good kind?
Yeah, we'll be like the sister wives, like the Brown family or whatever.
Remember the sock folder?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll work. I'll fucking create a paycheck. You can raise babies. You fold socks and cook because your sauce is better. You bake.
I ain't cooking.
And we don't even really need to raise the kids because the older ones can watch the younger ones. They'll be
Holy
free-range.
shit, you're just going full Lord of the Flies. Fuck it, the little one can watch, the big one can watch the little one. It's fine.
They're like so nearly adults that it's really not that bad.
I know.
Which, speaking of, if we were in a legit polygamy fucking cult, your daughter would have already been shipped off and married. Yeah.
Right. Oh, God. So, but then let's talk about how polygamy first started with the LDS and
how they split. Because
like
a lot of people think when you say, hi, I'm from Utah, everybody immediately is like,
that is my favorite
how many
fucking
wives?
joke. Favorite joke. So I got picked up by a fucking cabbie in New York from the airport. He's taking me to my hotel. Where are you from? Utah. No shit.
No shit.
Like, oh,
not even one.
Yeah, dude. What do you know? And he was like, how many moms do you have? And I'm like, 3. Duh. How many do you have? And he was like floored by this because he was under the impression that I was A, telling the truth, and B, it's really fucking like that all over, which
it is not.
It's like 35%. You know what I mean?
Right. So when people immediately assume polygamous, that's why some people get super pissed off, especially if they are LDS or Mormon, because they're like, we're not the same. And polygamists feel the same way. If you call a polygamist saying that they are a Mormon or however, they get equally upset because polygamists feel that the LDS church now is basically an abomination because
they've essentially cut out all of foundation.
We're going to get into that. So let's talk about how, as people may or may not know, just depending on your location, the LDS Church is called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it was actually founded by Joseph Smith. And people call them Mormons. I'm sure there's a bunch of other names. Supermos, depending.
Momo.
Joseph Smith had said that men needed at least 3 wives to attain fulfillment of exaltation in the afterlife.
Essentially that, like, to reach spiritual
high,
maximum spiritual plane, you had to have at least 3 wives.
You want to be homies with Jesus?
Right.
You gotta bang 3 bitches.
At least 3.
Sounds like a rough life.
A week.
I mean, if anybody's ever watched Big Love, you gotta fucking alternate.
And Joseph Smith actually later goes on to say, and this is a quote from him, that God commanded all those who have had this law revealed unto them must obey the same, and if ye abide not that covenant, then ye are damned, for no one can reject this covenant and be permitted to enter into my glory.
So they have different spiritual planes.
Yes.
In the kingdom. And if you didn't have at least 3 wives, then you were on a lower spiritual plane than everybody else.
If you wanted to get into the celestial kingdom.
Celestial kingdom.
Even though that's not even where God is. God has his own platform, whatever. We're not going to go super deep into the LDS religion.
Like, we could.
We could, but we'll be here for 2 fucking weeks just recording.
Fuck, somebody call Spencer and tell him that I'm going to need a sleeping bag.
Right.
So polygamy became very heavy within the LDS religion up until about 1890. And this is when they pretty much denounced the polygamy practice.
Yeah, which we'll talk about why they actually did that.
Right.
Later.
However, when this happened, there were a lot of people that left the church because they felt like they had essentially had the church turn their back on them.
They turned their back on God because it was written by Joseph Smith, by Brigham Young, by the first 2 founders.
Had some fucking seer stones in the bottom of a hat.
Yeah. Right? That polygamy was a covenant of God. So if the church all of a sudden decides to say that that's not a thing anymore, a lot of people were like, fuck these people. They're not living true to the faith. And we're going to get the fuck out. We're going to do our own shit.
Right.
And so that's where the split.
If you're not going to fucking acknowledge and pat me on the back for banging a 14-year-old and taking multiple wives, I'm fucking out of here.
I'm gone.
So, but then this is like the true believers, which a bunch of fucking pedophiles, broke off and they dipped out and they created like their own sect of what would be considered to be
their own different groups, clans, cults, whatever you want to call it.
Like some very Game of Thrones shit, because we have like half-brothers marrying sisters, uncles fucking taking nieces, like...
Well, and each clan that was created was based off of predominant families.
Right.
That's how they had it. It wasn't just all the polygamists left and they all live under one church.
Right.
Because there's even some polygamists that are independents that don't even belong to a clan, if that makes sense.
No.
Okay. I was like, am I making sense?
No,
here?
you have to, like, it makes sense to me, but when you tell it to our listeners who are not familiar with, like, the LDS and the FLDS, there are different sects. Mm-hmm. Not sex, S-E-X. Sects.
Yes.
S-E-C-T-S? Anyway, you've got people like the Warren Jeffs clan, the Kingston clan, you've got the Hilldale clan, you've got...
the Righteous Branch. And we're going to cover some of the different clans here in just a minute. And then we're going to kind of touch base on a few particular ones more in depth. And none of the ones that we're going to talk about more in depth is going to be the FLDS, which is the... Roland and Warren Jeffs.
Like Warren Jeffs, Hilldale, where they, because the higher the hair, the closer you are to Jesus.
Well, that's because if anybody who knows anything about polygamy, it came from the FLDS
correct
clan.
Which is the fundamentalists.
Yes, and
Latter-day Saints.
Yes. I thought it would be more interesting to kind of talk about the other clans and what they do and... Okay. Hold, please. We'll be back. Now we're back. Now we're good. Moving on.
So tell me about what made the split.
So we already talked about the split that happened in 1890. Because they said we no longer practice polygamy. And then what made it even worse was in 1978 when the LDS Church allowed blacks to be allowed into the temple or hold the priesthood. And this pissed off not only the polygamist clan, but a lot of people within the faith at the time. Many people left. Many people threatened to leave. Sadly, people in my own family, down the line, in Levi and I's family, almost left the church because of this. And later we'll kind of talk more about when it comes to blacks and how in the church it was said that they had the mark of Cain and their skin was stained a darker color. That way the Lamanites couldn't fool the Nephites anymore, blah, 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 blah. It was just a bunch of racist bullshit if we get right down to it.
So because of these two things, plus the practices of polygamy, this is the reason that the LDS people got upset and they kind of took their forks in the road and went fucking different directions with shit.
Exactly.
However, the sad truth about polygamy clans actually still hold up to like the whole thing that Joseph Smith put into play.
What he wanted the religion to be, because when it comes down to it, the polygamous clans live the church to the fucking T on how they wanted it to be. And so this episode may upset some of our LDS listeners. We're not saying that you are
this way,
or that you condone the actions that had happened, but we're going to go on a little history trip.
We are. And you know what? Ember put in a lot of fucking time and effort into her research on this, and so I have to commend her on that. And if there are things about this episode that upset you, just know that there was legitimate research put into this. We didn't just pull this stuff out of our ass. Like,
no,
Ember went deep.
Find.
Balls deep.
I went balls deep in this
balls
bitch.
Deep and pulled this fucking shit out.
And so did you when it came to the clans that we're going to talk about. Because I was like, no, Angel's got that part. I'll fucking avoid that like the plague.
So, moving on.
Let's talk about some of the different clans that we know of. There are
many.
Well,
and one of the most prominent that people are going to know of is Warren Jeffs.
Right.
Because that was shouted all over the airwaves. But there are many that you don't necessarily hear of.
I'll run over the Fundamentalist Church, a.k.a. the FLDS, just really fast for those who may not know anything about polygamy, since we do have people that listen all over the world.
Right.
But the Fundamentalist Church is the top one that most people know about. And that's when they say FLDS. That doesn't mean, or not every polygamist is an FLDS.
Correct.
I'm saying. Okay. The original founder was Roland Jeffs. And after he passed away, his son, Warren Jeffs, took over. Rulin. Fuck
they all have fucking dumb names.
Fuck him. I don't care. But thank you for correcting me.
No, you're fine. They all have fucking dumb names. Other than like Jeff. One of our listeners is actually dating somebody with the name Warren Jeffs.
Oh, no.
Like, legitimately, that is his fucking name.
Poor baby. I would change my name
I know.
with the quickness.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah, dude.
sweetness. As many may or may not know, because I assume that everybody knows because we live in Utah, and so for us, it's secondhand
nature.
knowledge.
Yeah.
But Warren is actually in prison, but he still runs the church from his prison cell.
Correct.
And he had, when he was arrested, he had over 50 wives, and that clan is about 11 to 16,000.
And they are the Colorado City side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody wants to claim that. Like, Utah's like, no, you fucking have them. And
Yeah.
Arizona's like,
We don't want him.
we don't want them either.
But one of their main headquarters is in, Hildale?
Hildale. It's Hildale.
There's no L.
It's Hildale.
I know.
It's
Utah.
fine.
Thule.
Duchesne.
Anyways, it's a whole different ball of fucking wax. But yeah, their also main one is in Colorado City, Arizona, and then they also have some in Texas.
They also have North Dakota and some shit in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. They're everywhere. A lot of people like to think that polygamy is just in Utah.
No, ma'am.
No, they're in all 50 states. They're
They're
in
like
Canada.
fucking bed bugs.
They're in Mexico.
Fucking everywhere.
They're in England now too. They've got places. And
I can just only imagine how chafed some dicks are.
Oh.
Like, if you have that many wives and you're banging that fucking regular.
yeah, but in a lot of in a lot of the clans, you only have sex to
procreate.
That's why they have to have so many wives. Because they still need to get laid, like, every day. But if one is pregnant, you can't fuck that one. If one is bleeding, you can't fuck that one. If one...
Yeah, but you have 50 fucking wives and you home them near each other, they're all gonna sync up.
Right?
Oh.
You're gonna have to have some. You're gonna have to have some off-site at that point. They're on a different
I'm
cycle.
gonna have to keep these ones up in the fucking hills away from the rest of these
Don't
whores.
talk to these other ones. Get your shit on a different schedule.
So-
tell us about the next one.
So the Apostolic
Yes.
United Brethren, also known as the AUB or the All Red Group, is one of the biggest groups
One of the biggest groups.
that broke off, and this was after the death of Rulon Allred. Since then, his son Owen Allred has taken over and is now the leader of like 6,000 to 9,000 in Nevada, Montana, Mexico, and even England.
Yes.
So we'll touch a little bit more on that later.
Yeah,
But
because we have to talk about how Daddy Allred died and what came out of that, and because a lot of other clans broke off of the AUB.
Right, because you'll also get the Latter-day Church of Christ, which is also known as the Kingston Clan, aka the Order.
Yes.
And that's something that is very prominent in Salt Lake City.
Oh,
and you guys can read a lot about that. If you Google it, you can see like all the gangster shit this family has gotten into.
That's one we're going to cover most.
Right.
on.
Well, because I think that everybody knows about Warren Jeffs and that sect, but I don't know that a lot of people know about the Kingston Clan, which fucking heinous.
Yeah.
So anyway, you'll catch a lot of these people in Salt Lake, and they're mostly known within like the Bluffdale community of Utah, which is just on the outside of Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm.
They also hold a presence in Idaho. We talked about a few other places. The Kingston Clan specifically, they have an elderly patriarch, Merlin Kingston, but Paul Ortel Kingston is the leader, and he's what they consider to be their prophet.
Yes.
What?
You just wiped your face
I know.
with that.
Oh my
I know.
God.
I wasn't even thinking about it until I did it, and it was my sweat rag.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
It's okay, because I folded it. This is the sweat side.
I thought that was the punishment for the kids when they were bad. Because with your sweat rag, apparently you're punishing yourself now.
Anyways, and with the Kingston clan,
It's my own sweat.
at a super low ballpark, they said that they have a wealth of over like $150 million.
Oh, it's fucking way over that, because if you watch some of the documentaries of the Lost Boys that went in and jacked their families for some of the hidden fucking treasures they had, there was like $500,000 in gold bars that were taken out of a family's fucking house.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch that one?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I did. Okay, so the next one, and what I love most about these clan names is, all right, the LDS Church already has a long name. The Church of Jesus Christ of
Latter-day
Latter-day
Saints.
Well, the polygamists just ran with that too. They all have long fucking names. Like the next one is the Church in Jesus Christ in Solomon Assembly.
Solemn Assembly. Solomon. Solemn Assembly.
Well, there's Solomon. That's a name.
It is.
People name their kids that here.
Sure, but that's not what that
I
is.
know. Shut up.
I love you. You're very pretty.
I'm very stupid, and I'm okay with it.
I can't read.
Anyway, this was actually founded by Alexander Joseph in 1974, and he had left the AUB group, the All Red group, and he actively pressed rights for polygamists. Wasn't he the first mayor?
In, like, Glenn County?
Yeah, they started a new town. I can't remember the name of it, and he was the first mayor of that town in 1983. He later died in 1999, and he left behind 10 wives and probably a fuck ton of children.
Have you seen all the fucking kids that Warren Jeffs has fathered?
Yeah.
Like 150
If you have 50
fucking
wives.
kids. Oh, is some as young as fucking 12?
Yeah.
Ugh. Yes. You fucking nasty.
Nasty.
He also...
That's nasty.
Nasty.
That's nasty. He wrote a book, and it's called Dry Bones, A Resurrection of Ancient Understandings, a commentary of the Pearl of Great Price. And
Not that dry if you have that many wives.
That's where my mind just went to. I was like, oh my god. Trying to keep it together while you were saying.
No.
Sorry.
Oh, no. But the Pearl of Great Price is actually one of the sections. You have the Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price.
Correct.
So it's the breakdown of the Pearl of Great Price, apparently. The True Living Church of Jesus Christ of Saints of the Last Days.
Oh, wow.
That is a mouthful.
Fucking mouthful.
I would get so
Jesus.
confused because it's all
The True Living Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints of the Last Days. That just sounds like post-apocalyptic shit where they're like, our prophet lives on the up. Like
Well,
their fucking kids' eyes are just like a little too close together, fucking arms a little too long for bodies.
well, this is fine because this is out of Manti, Utah, and the leader was James Harmston, and he was actually excommunicated from the LDS Church for advocating polygamy, and he claims to be Joseph Smith's reincarnate.
A fucking course.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And his group is smaller. It's only like 300 to 500 people. You all right over there, bud?
He's fucking struggling a little.
Oh my god.
Pull yourself together.
The next one is the Righteous Branch of Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a.k.a. Christ Church, Inc.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fucking heavy metal band that,
It
like,
does.
promotes abstinence.
I just thought of, like, Monsters, Inc.
Yeah.
Here at Christ Church, Inc.
Oh,
my God.
What?
just
Ew,
happened?
did you just put that in your mouth?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh,
Do you not clean your fucking ears?
Yeah, every time I shower, but I would
Yeah, I
never
do mine,
put
like,
my
3
own
days.
fucking
No.
earring in my mouth.
I do it like 3 times a day. I clean them and I oil them.
But you get mad at me for touching my face.
Could you?
Yeah, when you're fucking broken out, I'm doing you a favor. Stop.
Okay. This Christ Church, Inc. Righteous Branch. Righteous Brand. It is not. It's Righteous Branch.
Okay.
Is small.
All
There's only,
hail the righteous brand of fruity bread. This fruitcake was conceived in the memory of Joseph Smith.
Joseph.
And Solomon.
Fuck you both. Right? All right, in your pie holes. No, you're fine. There's only about 100 known members, and they are in Modena, Utah, which is like 80
What the
miles.
fuck is that?
80 miles west of St. George.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
yeah. And I have more on this particular clan that we're going to talk about later in the Righteous Branch. There's a story that I read from somebody who escaped. Anyways, it was founded by Gerald Peterson after the death of
Rulin.
Allred from the AUB clan that we talked about earlier. Apparently, he came to him, his ghost came to him and said, I need you to lead our church of polygamy fucktards. He said, okay. But then the son, Owen, was like, fuck your mouth. These are my bitches, and I'm going to lead this place. So he broke off, and some of the members from the AUB followed him because they liked him more than they liked the son.
Interesting.
Yes.
So then we also move into the Church of Jesus Christ in Zion. Can we fucking not with that shit? So this one actually originates from the Independence, Missouri. Now this is one of the known...
Polygamy and Wi-Fi. That's what they're, like, nicknamed as.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
You're right.
Roger Billings is who is over it, and they have about 1,000 members.
Okay.
And he was a well-known scientist, engineer, fucking inventor.
You'll get that a lot, though, like when you look into the clans. Like, you'll have somebody that's a lawyer, a fucking accountant, and also an OBGYN.
Yeah, this guy...
Well, shit, that saves money.
Right? This guy was actually an early competitor for Apple products. And he was the original inventor of ideas when it comes to spreadsheets, databases, all things that get those pocket protector people just like fucking wet, shake at the knees. Still my soul.
Your
Spreadsheet.
And I can't lie, those things make me happy because I like organized
I
things.
enjoy a good spreadsheet. Especially ones with like the formulas calculated.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, she's like, going to the Church of Jesus Christ in Zion. Fucking sign
Where
me
do I
up.
sign
She was
up?
like, all I do is click right here and it tells me exactly where my budget's supposed to be.
I just put the numbers in and it tells me.
But this clan is very, very active over the internet. And there are a great chance that when you're talking to somebody that says that they're polygamous and they're advocating for it and they're trying to say that everything's fine, chances are you're probably talking to somebody in this clan.
Interesting.
Yes.
Then we have the original Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And this is probably one of the earliest known splinter groups from the original LDS. And James J. Strang started this group after the murder of Joseph Smith. And he believed in polygamy, but felt like...
There was a higher authority.
Like there was, yeah.
Because he didn't like Brigham Young. So he felt that there was a higher authority above Brigham Young. Fuck that guy.
There was somebody else.
Brigham Young came in and he was number 2.
I wonder if I could do that with my family. Just like look into a fucking ball cap and be like, no, the fucking outlook not so good. You may not go because this kitchen is not fucking clean. Those stones tell me so.
He would have gone crazy over a fucking 8-ball.
Holy
Shaker
shit.
thingy.
Well, I'm just saying you might have to do a few drugs first.
I think I'm
Before
too
you
old
can
for
see
that.
with the stones.
Yeah.
You know, it would have been like super cool in 1999, but I'm way too old for that shit now.
No.
Anyway, so talk about drama.
I don't know where you are.
Oh, okay. I'll talk about it. So, between Brigham Young and James Strang. So, Strang and his believers thought that Brigham Young had been excommunicated on April 6, 1846. However, Brigham Young claimed that it was Strange who was excommunicated. However, there was no notice for Strang to appear in court or trial for him because, yeah, getting kicked out of or excommunicated out of the church is fucking legal matter.
It is.
It's a pain in the dick hole, especially if you want your name removed from the church. That doesn't
Oh my god,
happen.
do you fucking know what you have to go through to get your name out of the fucking records?
Well, and it doesn't even leave.
No.
They'll take your name kind of
No, because
off
they
of
still like keep you in the fucking records.
it for 104 years.
Inactive, but to keep their numbers up, your name still remains.
Yeah, they can just say that maybe people won't bother you as much, which doesn't always happen. Anyways, so after the split happens, James doesn't like Brigham. He packs up his following of about 300 people and they fucking bounce to Burlington, Wisconsin. And according to sites, rumors, what have you, they have a larger following now and they've kind of spread everywhere.
Like throughout the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Church of the Firstborn of the Fullness of Times, aka the LeBaron Group.
Mm-hmm.
Think of like a polygamy hit squad.
Yes.
Essentially. Is that what I'm thinking?
Yep.
Okay. So it was actually this clan that killed Rulon Allred, who was like the leader of the AUB group.
Right.
And this was founded by Alma Dayer LeBaron in Colonia, Juarez, Mexico. Fucking Juarez.
Yeah, Mexican Mormon settlement.
No, that's where like people go to fucking die when you like fuck around and decide to go to El Paso and you like scurry over the fucking border. Like I almost got held fucking hostage. My mom had to beat somebody up to get their hands off me in Juarez. Yeah, I was 16. It was awesome.
Okay.
God bless my mom for being such a Viking. So it was actually the wives of LeBaron who were forced to kill Rulon Allred. And one of the wives, her name was Raina Chinaweth.
Mm-hmm.
Mary. was found not guilty of the crime, but later confesses it in a book called The Wives Did It, which came out in 1990.
Yes.
She admitted to it after she was found not guilty?
Yeah, because the statute or
Statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations.
What did I say? Statute?
Statute.
Mary.
It's like a prostitute.
I don't think. I don't even think that's the right. That's the right one.
Like a statute of limitation?
No,
like,
because that
how do
says
you,
after time after a certain
right,
amount of
how
time
do you
is
fucking,
found.
how do you,
Oh,
how do
it's
you
double jeopardy.
Yes,
I saw that movie.
Oh.
So after you're
Sorry.
found not guilty, they can't try you for the same crime twice.
Fucking minxes. So they went across the border because there isn't a law against polygamy there. I don't think there's a whole lot of laws against anything over there.
Right.
In 1944, his son Benjamin declared himself a prophet. Is it really that easy? Can I do that?
Yes.
Yeah. You can't. You have a vagina.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, I don't hold the priesthood?
No.
No.
Bastards.
The only time you hold the priesthood is when you have a dick in your hand.
Pull your pants down, Levi.
Oh my
You have to,
Wait, no, it's not like that. I just need to hold the conch so I can speak. It's like some Lord of the Flies shit. Whoever gets to hold the conch
I gotta
gets to
hold the
speak.
microphone.
I gotta hold the dick if I get to be part of the priesthood, and it's all for science.
Well, if we were in polygamy times, there was probably a great chance that Levi and I would have to shack up. I mean, that's not okay with my soul.
It would be that, like, they condition you for that shit. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think so though, because I'm an old bitch in comparison.
It's true.
But it would depend on how much money he has. If he doesn't have enough money.
You would literally have like 7 kids.
Yeah.
My vagina is not a
What do you
fucking
do with
Pez
all-
dispenser.
Could be.
No.
you're already partially there. I mean, you got 3 kids.
Right?
Fuck you, Levi.
Yeah, what goes to say you need to stop now? Is that, the tube dying thing. But
Yeah, the fact that your family members ripped my tubes out for me.
Oh my god.
I have such a nice
Carl and the Naughty Touching Club. Because he's done all of my pap smears. He did my husband's vasectomy. He's delivered your children. I think he's pretty much handled all of our gens.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Clint. Yeah,
And Quinn.
Clint and Quinn need a... We'll have a party. We can get him in. We're gonna need
Dr. B, I need you to come over. You gotta look at some balls.
All right. So
Just touch him just a little bit.
just like Ruby Rod out of fucking The Fifth Element, where you like drives by with the fucking paintbrush and just like paint all of our gens. We can be all part of the same fucking club, scream freedom, and like get naked in the backyard. I don't know.
Painting the gens red.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So
Sorry.
Benjamin.
Fuck, that was a good squirrel hunt.
Holy shit. All right. So Benjamin declared himself a prophet, and some agreed. However, some said that he was like mental and completely not fit to suit any leadership role.
Anybody that claims that they're a prophet, probably not all mentally there.
Right.
Just
So
saying.
this is a weird note. Just keep it for yourself because we'll touch on that.
Right, because
a
he
little
was
bit
in
later.
and out of mental institutions.
Right.
And that's the note that you need to file away. Mental institutions. Put that away.
So another brother steps forward, Ross Wesley, and claimed the leadership and moved his following back to Utah. Now in 1955, another brother, Joel, Jesus Christ, they're like fucking roaches. They're everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Leads into Salt Lake and appoints another brother,
Number 4.
Ervil. Oh,
Whoa.
dude, he touched little girls and you fucking know it.
Yeah.
Just the name Ervil. Ervil.
Sounds like something you would name a rat.
Or somebody that has a speech impediment and wants to be named like Orville. Ervil.
That's all I thought
Cursor and the
about was Orville Redenbacher when you said Ervil.
And named him as the secretary of the church and the head over the Mexican mission. Now, when we move on with fuck, I can't even mouth that. Ervil, he pretty much developed like his own clan over time.
And it has the coolest name out of everybody, though.
Church of the Lamb of God.
Yes.
So keep Ervil LeBaron and the notions of mental institutions kind of like in your sticky brain matter for later.
Because you're very important.
You're gonna need it.
And then you have the Church of the Firstborn.
This sounds like some Children of the Corn shit.
Right?
Yeah, it does.
The leader, Thomas Green, was
Children
actually
of the fucking lesser corn.
lesser corn. He was actually sentenced to 10 years in jail in 2001 for polygamy, rape of a child, and criminal non-support of his 28 fucking fuck trophies. And he is still the leader, and it's out of Greenhaven, Utah. So that's that one. There's not.
Where the fuck is Greenhaven? And where are all these places I've never heard of? Are these like...
Underground.
Like ghost towns that, like, I guess.
There's a
Yeah,
reason
fire
nobody's
your
heard
house.
of them. Nobody wants to
Fuck.
visit there. What are you going to go and see? Rape?
Cedar people.
These are just a couple that we had found. There was a list of like 11 or 12 more clans, and I didn't give a shit by that point. I was like, I'm done. I'm done with
No,
clans.
I don't blame you at all.
Fucking, we're over it.
Did they all have such clever names, though?
Yeah, some of them were fucking mile long.
I feel like this is because, like, they all came from the same, and they were, you know, brothers and sisters. Like, the creativity is not there.
It's not.
You have a
No,
baby
sweetie,
with your
when you're
sister.
banging back into the same fucking family tree.
Like, there's no creativity left. So we're
When
just
your
going to
tree
use
is
the
a
words we
post.
know.
With one little loop.
That tree's not blooming no more.
No.
No blossoms.
Use the words you know
Instead.
and put them in a different order.
But out of these clans, and out of the 11 or 12 more that we didn't mention, this doesn't count. There's like at least 50,000 other people who practice polygamy independently, but they don't claim a court.
But they don't have like a house name. It's
Right.
not like fucking the Starks, the Lannisters, the fucking Targaryens. No, they just independently collect fucking child brides, much like my ancestors, and breed.
Right, and probably the most famous ones that, and we had talked about a little bit earlier, is the Brown family from...
Oh, fucking sister wives.
Dude, that was my guilty pleasure for a minute. I'm not even gonna...
Mine.
Not
I
even
just
gonna
can't
lie.
get over how fucking, like, I look at him and all I see is, like, a Creed concert.
That hair, and when he whips his head,
And flicks his fucking hair.
And it's balding, and he's got widow
God.
peaks and death.
but well,
And he, like,
has that
brushes
hair
it all
follicle.
fucking forward.
And it's all fluffy, and he's always shaking his head like he's a
Dude,
fucking
you know,
Baywatch
like,
model.
no, dude, you know he's, like, when he's on top of one of those hefty hoes, just banging away, and he's all fucking sweaty, and he does, like, this.
Oh.
You can see clear the fuck back to the middle of his cap. No, thank you.
My vagina just got so uncomfortable right
Right? But theirs does the opposite, so it works
Ugh,
for them.
I
like,
guess.
they love that hair flick.
Mhm.
Do your hair flick.
And then,
Do it. Let me see your hair flick and tell me I'm your number 3.
number three.
Your number 2 this week, babe.
Oh, shit.
All right.
We talked about how polygamy is also everywhere, but it's also should be noted that polygamy doesn't just happen in, like, the Christian faith or the Mormon faith or whatever.
No, it's kind of like,
It's known very much in different Muslim faiths as well.
well, yeah, little fucking harems. Ugh.
You okay over there?
I'm so sweaty.
It's okay. Sorry.
Aw,
Ew.
dude.
I know.
What did I do?
Okay, you get to this next section is Angel's fucking love baby.
So I got very into a TV show on A&E called Breaking Polygamy, and it specifically delves into the Kingston clan of Salt Lake City. And these are the polygamy members that live in plain sight, and you wouldn't fucking know unless somebody told you. They dress in plain clothes. They work normal jobs. They go to normal schools.
They're not the ones with the long braids and the fucking prairie skirts.
Right. Wearing fucking knickers under their goddamn heavy ass.
They're Jesus jammies.
Oh my god. So anyway, the Kingston clan was kind of founded in 1931, and it's also known as one of the largest sex crime organizations in the United States. And when you start to break this all down, and like I said, this isn't shit we made up. Like, you guys can get online and you can fucking Google this, because these guys have been hit with, like, tax evasion. What's his fucking name? Beat his daughter until she was black and blue because she tried to, like,
We're gonna
skin out on a fucking... Anyway.
But just so everybody knows, and so if anybody from the Kingston clan is listening,
Listen, bitch, we got this off the internet.
it's from KingstonClan.com, KUTV.com, RedNews.com, and a news story by Brooke Adams in 1998.
Like, you guys are not fucking secret. You're not sneaky anymore. There's a goddamn TV show where your fucking daughters are outing you and dragging people out of there. So,
Yes.
should you want to go toe-to-toe with me?
No.
Can we not?
Could we fucking not? All right. Start
Anyway,
off with...
so Paul Eldon Kingston is one of the leaders, and he is actually one of the numbered men.
Oh, well, yeah.
And
Would
if you
he
guys-
be number one?
No.
Oh.
I don't think he is. Wait, Paul? Yeah. It's Daniel Kingston that is like listed as number 4, I think.
Yeah.
And I could be completely wrong, but David Kingston is a convicted rapist. Daniel Kingston was convicted for Daniel Kingston.
Yeah.
That's the motherfucker. Every time I see his photo, I foam at the mouth because I just want to beat the shit out of this guy. Convicted for severely abusing his own daughter, pedophilia, abuse to women and children, and being a rapist. Jesse Kingston, criminal incest. Hiram Kingston, criminal incest. Jason Kingston,
criminal incest,
and Fat Joe Kingston, which if you guys see this bologna-eating motherfucker, you can tell he just smells like a goddamn deli on a bad hot day.
His face looks like a balloon, and then somebody put a tiny face right in the middle.
Oh, no,
he's
seriously,
one of those people.
He smells like fucking bologna and salami that's been left in a fucking lunchbox for 6 days. And this fat piece of shit was also convicted of criminal incest. They like to call themselves the Order. They're very wealthy, and they are actually owners to many, many businesses, whether it's like Federal Reserves, banks, schools, churches, Washaki Energy, all of that shit. And they were actually raided in 2015-16 for criminal tax evasion. They've been known to pay off governors, which is another thing you guys can actually look up.
We talked about it.
Oh, yeah. Attorney generals, other high-ranking officials, basically just to turn the cheek so that they can get away with...
So they can keep raping and pillaging and fucking doing some incest.
Turning fucking 12-year-old wives.
Incest is the best. Put your sister to the test.
Ooh.
Sorry. Don't look at me like that, Levi.
My brother used to say that to me all the time.
I do not want your judgment.
This is a judgment-free zone where we say fucked up shit.
No judgment.
Just saying.
No judgment.
And there's proof, and we'll get into that here in a minute, which it kind of makes me wonder how this all fucking
is gonna pan
out. Because how much have you heard since the fucking raid?
Yeah. Well, and the brand new law that was just passed a couple months ago, which I will break down later. But within the new law, everybody that's in the Kingston clan is fucked, basically. But it doesn't make sense to me, considering some of the payoffs and things that happened.
It's fucking bananas, because that one attorney general that was like, we're no longer taking donations, finger quotes, donations from the Kingston clan because they were actually considered payoffs for fucking turning the cheek. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. That comes here in just a quick half minute.
So,
with the Kingston clan, it makes everybody thinks that FLDS church is fucking terrible. It's horrible, which it is. But when you look at the Kingston clan...
We might need a GoFundMe after this.
Oh, yeah, probably. The Kingston clan makes Warren Jeffs look like a bitch. Like
if
a
you,
little
dude,
bitch.
if you fucking dig deep into this shit, like, by the time you, like, if you go watch the fucking TV show and, like, do some of the Googling that we have done and
you
watch...
go down a rabbit hole.
Holy shit. And by the time you come out on the other side, you realize how fucked these people really are.
Slavery, rape, sodomy, incest, abuse... Anything terrible,
like their fucking
name,
wives, like their wives are living in fucking squalor with like 9 kids and they have no fucking food. They work for the Order. So like you don't have a job outside of the clan. You have a job specifically designated at one of their like gas stations or whatever. And a good portion of your fucking income actually goes back to the clan.
To the men. To the numbered men.
Right. To the numbered men.
Not to the women, not to the children.
And they're living in fucking legitimate squalor, like homes with fucking busted ass ceilings and foundations. They don't have fucking running water. They're carrying their shit up there like some Little House on the Prairie. Fucking buckets over their goddamn shoulders to bathe their fucking kids.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Anyways. But even with everything, they're still pretty underground and they have so much fucking money that if somebody says something that they don't really like, they are hushed. Yeah, they make it rain with the quickness. So, you know, if this episode disappears, it's because we got a hefty sum.
I'm not fucking proud. I'm not fucking above this.
Yeah.
So, like, if Color Me Dead ceases to exist and I move to fucking Aruba, then...
Or, you know, if we stop producing and somehow we get somebody to say we need a GoFundMe page, they're in fucking prison, we're gonna need some help.
We'll just hope that
Can we please just go together?
Yes.
Bye.
He's like, you're not taking me.
I'm a guest here.
I'm a guest. So, anyway, anyone under the name of the clan is pretty much Ollie Oxen free. because they have all the money in the world to pay off anything that happens.
Well, and they've tried to say that the different shows that are made after the Kingston clan is all bullshit.
Right.
They try to say none of it is true.
Yeah.
Which
it's
you can't-
all
I-
gimmick.
You can't fucking take that many Lost Boys and that many Runaway Girls who all have the same fucking story and call it bullshit. Like, you can wrap that in any gift paper you fucking want. I still call your present a lie.
Well, and mixed with the new law, it's not far-fetched to think that everything that they have talked about when it comes to the atrocities within the clan isn't real.
Right.
Anyways.
So then, tell me about the officials.
Okay, so what we know is Attorney General Sean Ray received an astounding, like, $40,000 fucking dollars in donations.
From the Kingston clan.
From
in
the
different,
Kingston clan.
Like, different organizations that are
Affiliated.
owned or affiliated by the Kingston clan.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And this was confirmed when the FBI raided his fucking office. And that's where they found the money, they fucking froze it, and they were awaiting notice from FBI to see where it should go from here, if they're going to donate it or what have you. And the fucked up thing is Sean Ray actually spoke highly about the Kingston clan, about all of this, even after knowing of all of their convictions that we named off. So you're speaking highly of somebody that's been convicted of fucking rape and incest.
Like child molestation, fucking criminal rape, like
Pedophilia, beating the fuck out of your daughter. Like,
who ran away from a fucking marriage because she didn't want to marry your fucking uncle.
So after that, they had also found that many state lawmakers received donations anywhere from $250 to $1,000.
Right.
And actually, our governor, Gary Pervert,
I like it.
received a donation of $5,000 that we know of. We don't know of however many other things, which is why I also think that the new law that is put in place doesn't make sense, because he's the one that passed it off. But if you're getting paid off or getting donations from this certain
Now,
clan...
be specific. What law are you talking about?
The new law that came out a couple months ago, and it says that if you are a polygamist, but if you are convicted of sodomy, rape, different things like that, you automatically get a higher felony.
But he's taking fucking donations from these people.
Welcome. Welcome to why I've been like, none of this makes sense.
I wonder, well, do you think it's because they have an agreement together, and so he's going to go after the other clans, but it's like, we're going to make this law, but I'm going to keep you safe?
I don't know for sure. That could be it. But the notion... Welcome back, Leva. The notion of paying off officials is not new to our state. This is a highly controversial thing that everybody talks about. People fight about it all the time. Both polygamy groups and the LDS Church denies these claims, but it is very obvious when it comes to certain laws within Utah. And there's stuff that we'll talk about in the past. Plus, there's facts of back when the LDS Church was lobbying the fuck out of anti-same-sex marriage in California, when they were tossing out all the commercials and and different things of that nature. So, I mean...
But then where do we go?
There may not be... People say that in Utah we have a separation of church and state.
No, we fucking do not.
We have the least amount of that.
The least. Yes.
Yes.
Our church is our state.
Yeah. What is state?
Anyways, I know I'm gonna piss some people off, but it is what it is.
You know what? The people that we're going to make the most angry are people that probably won't listen to our show.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, if we haven't made you angry already...
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like, if you don't already harbor some kind of bitter taste towards both of us,
talk more about the numbered men.
Okay, so in the Kingston clan, what they have is a system that they have developed called numbered men. Now, the lower the number, the closer you are to, like, God, essentially. And you're considered to be more of a prophet. So these numbers, like, 1 would be the highest ranking, leading what the whats. And then they go on into, like, even the 200s and 300s. These guys, essentially, it's like the Italian mafia. Number 1, like, the numbered men, like, number 1 would be the fucking mob boss. So you'd be staring at, like, the Godfather. And in order to be a numbered man, you have to have plural wives, at least 3, because that's where your fucking celestial...
3 is like the standard in any polygamy group.
Right. And these are the men that receive kickbacks from the clan-owned businesses. So, like, these guys don't even actually have to hold an actual fucking job.
No, that's what
They
wives
get-
are for.
Exactly. Your wives work like a motherfucker. You collect X amount of their fucking checks, and you also receive a percentage of all of the businesses. And the higher the number, or the lower the number, the higher you are, closer you are to Jesus.
The more
And
wives you have, the closer you are to God.
Right. And you get more fucking money. Now, this actually supposedly puts you closer to God in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
These guys have to be mentally fucking ill.
It sounds like a
Like,
good
to put up
system
with
to
that many
me.
women? Are you fucking kidding me?
But you don't have to work. You just get the money.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Put up with that many bitches.
They don't, though. They just
don't. They
kick them
don't.
out into
Yeah,
whatever, and they let them fend for themselves.
No, they essentially fucking put them in, like, seedy-ass hotel/apartment complexes and are like, here, fucking fend for yourself and I'll be back for 60%
And
of
that's
your
just
check.
them taking
Oh, and
after.
your fucking, and some of your fucking EBT money.
Yeah, and that's just them taking a chunk out of fucking Brigham Young's book.
Pretty
Because
much.
Brigham Young did that to his wives. He would marry them, knock them up after they kicked out a few kids. He would fucking pretty much abandon them
Right.
and then get a new fresh wife.
Right, because the more women that you have, like the more wives that you have, the closer you are to Jesus.
And you're a better person within the polygamy group. Like you're a high-ranking fucking fancy person.
Right. So these
Because you
men,
can afford to have that many
look
wives.
at John Daniel Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
How many wives does he have? That motherfucker has like 150, 160 fucking kids, has like 14 fucking wives.
Right.
Yeah, dude. And his wives' vaginas are basically like...
Hamburger.
Hamburger.
Like the Predator.
We're not going to be able to hear you over there. You need to come back.
I know, if you're gonna talk, you gotta speak loudly.
Well, no, he's got to come over here because over there it won't pick up.
Oh, get back in your spot.
It gets back in its seat or it gets the host.
Why did you break the rules?
Anyways, with the kind of Kingston clan, when I thought of them, anyways, and when I was doing kind of Game of Thrones reference,
Right.
definitely Lannisters.
They super fucking love the incest thing, where they keep it within, like, I guess it's like trying to keep the bloodline as pure as possible. It's kind of like the
It's
fucking
not.
royal family, but they all come out looking a little goofy.
Yeah.
But they've got nieces marrying fucking uncles and half sisters, half brothers, like
Marrying first
each other.
cousins.
Yeah, dude. Fucking mean girls. Yeah, but he's my first cousin. So you have your cousin, and then you have your first cousin and your second cousin. No, wait, that's not right.
Yes.
No wonder we look so alike.
Their bloodlines.
I cannot with you today.
Oh, shit.
Oh my goodness. So I want to talk about Daniel Kingston a little
Let's
bit.
do.
Because
John Daniel Kingston is my least favorite fucking person.
fuck that guy. That's my own opinion.
Fucking for real.
And anybody else will let you draw your own conclusions, but I'm sure everybody will be on the same page with us.
Because this guy has a predilection towards domestic violence and pedophilia, most fucking foul.
Yeah, and one of the sad things is to give a small glimpse into the clan itself. Actually, one of Daniel's daughters was 13 when she fucking hung herself.
Killed herself.
Oh.
That's one of Jessica and the ladies that do escaping polygamy.
Mm-hmm.
Their little sister fucking hung herself. And this is not the only daughter of John, Jesus, fuck, mouth.
Make words.
Make words. John Daniel Kingston's daughters, many of them have attempted suicide. Only one of them has succeeded. Numerous ones have cut wrist, tried to hang themselves, fucking heads in ovens, like some virgin suicide type shit because they didn't want to get married off to
Well, and
brothers, uncles, fucking cousins.
And it's also the only way to escape the abuse that happened, because leaving is usually not an option. It is
No.
very scary. It is
Nope.
very fucking dangerous.
No, and if you fucking get out, you're an apostate and you can never go back. Your family can't speak to you, or they're not supposed to.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I would say.
But if that's all you ever, if that's all you ever fucking had though, and you're 13 years old,
And that's all you've been taught.
fucking known.
Well,
that's
and not
pretty
only
rough.
that, if you escape but they catch you and they bring you back, the
Then it's
torture
even
that
worse.
happens is
Unimaginable. Like,
Could you
you imagine? No, I cannot, because that fucking rule of thumb need not apply.
Right, because within certain things, it is standard practice, and this isn't just only to the Kingston clan. This kind of goes
Like a
throughout.
broad generalization of all fucking polygamy sex.
Is that it's a practice for young women to be raped by any and all males who want to participate, family members or any sort of clan members. It doesn't fucking matter. And
Well, fuck, you know the cuck rule in The Warren Jeffs? Oh, fuck.
Tell everybody about it.
So, in order to conceive within the FLDS Warren Jeffs
Clan.
section, their clan specifically, they had numbered men that were the ones that had to impregnate women, and in order for them to conceive, it could only be done through cuckold. So men had to sit and watch and comfort their wives while they were essentially being raped by numbered men to conceive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, isn't that nice? And some of these women that get raped, and we're talking young, like some as young as 6. Granted, these are rumors. You can't
This
find
is speculation.
anything.
This is like shit that we've heard through the by and by.
You can't find actual documentation about it, but that doesn't mean that it's not, the possibility of it being true isn't there.
Well, I mean, seeing how Warren Jeffs legitimately got fucking busted up for having a 12-year-old wife, which he fucking fathered a child with,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't seem so fucking far off.
Exactly. And what makes it even worse is this practice is supported by everybody in the family. The moms, the other siblings.
Do they start fucking grooming their kids at 3 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Like raising babies, changing diapers, cooking meals, sucking dicks, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fucking know.
Well, and it's safe to also...
I think we might ruin this one day.
Probably.
I've already...
She showed me a video of a dude getting his head, like, sawed off.
He was
had
not
nightmares
okay
for
for
a
the
week.
rest of the night. We had a couple of happy things.
Just
tender.
I was like so excited over that, I salivated.
Yeah, he thought that when he was going to get beheaded that it was going to be a clean thing, and it was not.
That's no, honey, you'll hit the fucking neck bone.
Well,
It's a,
he sawed around the neck bone, ripped the head back, and then whack, 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 and then popped it up and was like, turder.
Oh, fucking wee lamb.
And Levi was like, I'm not okay.
I don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some of the
Like the
shit.
craziest mouth, like it's something off The Simpsons, I swear.
Some of the shit that I've once I got into the dark web and started looking at shit on there, 4 fucking hours later, I looked at the clock and was like, Jesus Christ, I have to get up in 45 minutes to get ready for work. One more video. It's bad.
Now, like I was trying to say, when it comes to the act of raping the young women, it's probably not fully supported. Like, nobody wants to watch their child being raped. However, it is known that if you are a wife, you have to back your husband 100%, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you don't, you have to face the consequences. So it's kind of one of those things. Stay sweet. That's what you have to tell your daughter if she's being fucking raped by an old... No. So, with that, then we go into Mary Ann Kingston, which was one of Daniel's other daughters. And she's the one that actually sued her family, 200 other members, almost 100 different fucking businesses in affiliation with the Kingston clan. And this started back in 2002, but then the trial and different things like that started in 2003. This was after they were going to tell her that she was going to be forced to marry her uncle when she was 16.
Oh.
Yeah, so when she tried to leave... her dad,
the person that's supposed to fucking protect you and keep you from harm's way, tracked her fucking down,
abducted her,
beat the shit out of her.
beat her until she was unconscious.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's where those charges of severely beating the daughter comes into play, because he pleaded no contest. The uncle pleaded something, and he did some time for some incest. The dad did some time. But the thing is that this whole trial, it lasted 6-7 years.
It went on for a while.
And it was very, very expensive. Nobody drops numbers, but it is known that it was very expensive. And they finally just settled.
Yeah.
They made a settlement, which is decent. However, within that settlement, that means that everybody else got to go free.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody else was charged or convicted or tried for their crimes.
Yeah, but when they reached the settlement, she received $100 million.
Let that fucking sink in, though. Because they were all willy-fucking-nilly about it. They were like, fuck it. $100 million. Shut the fuck up.
That's like Floyd Mayweather and McGregor shit.
Mm-hmm.
For real.
Right.
Like, I'll fight him for $400 million.
I'll lose.
Even if I lose. I'll let him whip my ass for $400 million.
I would too.
I would
put
let
up
this
a fight all of my life, but...
There's a lot of things I'd do for $100 million.
There's a lot of things I do for Conor McGregor.
That's why we love Nikki.
Yeah, great. Dude, our husbands listen to this. Shut the fuck up.
I know. Sorry, Clint. I love you.
Oh, like they don't know. We tell them these things to their faces.
Yeah, I say that to him when I'm talking to him, so it's nothing new.
Quinn knows I would fucking alien facehugger the shit out of Jason Momoa if I had the chance.
Do you know how fucking upset I was when I met him and he was more infatuated with my husband than with me? It broke my fucking heart. He was like, oh my God. And I was like, yes. And he's like, a real fucking Viking. And I was like, wait, no, what the fuck is happening? And he was like, when we went to have our picture taken with him after I got his fucking autograph, he was like, the Yeti. And he was all about Spencer. And I told him after that, he was like, sorry, babe, I didn't mean to steal your thunder. And I was like, you go sit in the fucking corner. You don't ever get to go to meet any of the celebrities I want to mouth bang ever again. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, Quinn makes fun of me. He's like, I know you. If you saw him, you would just stand there and probably drool and stutter. And I was like, fucking truth.
That's what
I could talk a big game, but I'd just be like, hey.
I know. I don't think I could. I would like secretly start touching myself a little bit. And like, but not make eye contact because that's a little too intense for me.
And his wife is pretty too, so I wouldn't.
Oh, dude, Lisa Bonet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I told him.
Let's get naked, go in a pile, it's fine.
God.
Sorry.
I told him, I like Metallica too, because he was listening to Metallica, and then I'm like, oh, what did I just do? I'm so sad, Jason Momoa. You're like Metallica.
Dude, I was sitting there trying to talk to him, and he was just like, fuck, man, I've never seen things.
Big.
Spencer's bigger than Jason Momoa by like 2.5 inches. And I was like,
nobody is bigger than Spencer except for that one random
damn, oh my God, at the fucking, at Fear Factory. That like
that's where it
7 foot
was.
tall fucking monstrosity. No, just warm up my toes. Wait for those to hatch. I'll stuff my toes under her ass. It's warm in there. But no, like the more he sat and talked to Spencer, the more upset I got to where I was like, oh, by my tail. Like walking myself back out, and I was like, nobody pays attention to the hobbitses.
And Nikki was doing like the 40-year-old virgin thing. Have you felt a boob? It feels like a bag of sand. That was her equivalent of, I like Metallica too.
I also like Metallica. That's my favorite.
And he was so tall that I just like, not that he was really tall.
Oh my God,
I
somebody kicked the fucking speaker over and he had to bend over to like fix it. And Nikki was like air humping just a little.
He was like
a stone's throw away.
You should have just bent down and go, dogs do it, it's fine.
I just stared at him and he kept fixing it and I'm like, you can fix it all day. I'm just gonna watch you.
Like Nikki goes back over. Needs fixed again.
Oh, I didn't see it. Sorry. Yeah, and that's when I walk up and stare at him because I didn't realize he was going to be that tall. I like Metallica. And then I smile, the creepiest smile ever, and then I'm like, bye. I love you.
At least you guys got to see him. I was home doing nothing. Okay.
Well, we made idiots out of ourselves, so you were probably
what is this
better.
we shit? We
I
know
did.
fucking you.
No, I like to throw you in
How was
with
that?
me.
How was that bus she just tossed you?
We're fucking we. No, you. I just sat and sulked because I wanted my husband more than he wanted me, and it made me sad.
It made me sad. It's okay. I can't meet celebrities. I'm just too awkward for that.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know.
I'm gonna get awkward when I actually meet a fan that we don't already previously know, like a stranger.
I've gotten that way where people are like, holy shit, Angel, like Ember and Angel from like Color Me Dead, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands. It's fucking stupid about it.
And you're way better at peopling than I am, so I don't even leave my house. Anyways, back to the Kingston clan. Keep going. You with the face.
So you with the face.
The other
Make the fucking words.
The co-host of this podcast.
So then, the empire pretty much spans like 6 states. Salt Lake alone has a minimum of 48 businesses in affiliation with the Kingston clan. And this was what was noted in like 1998. So who knows how many there are now. Chances are, if you stopped in Salt Lake, you've run across the clan and you've given them their money. Clothing stores, thrift stores, gas stations, grocery stores. I mean, they pretty much operate and own fucking everything. Mm-hmm. Rumor has it that Matthew Kingston is the next in line for leadership.
He must have older wives then. Because why is he jumping over Daniel and everybody else?
I don't know. Interesting.
Or maybe he's just not convicted of all the fuckery most foul.
Hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. So now we're going to probe the righteous branch a little bit.
Probe.
I like probing.
I don't like to probe so much as be probed. Just say it.
Did you want to check my oil?
Touch
It
bud.
feels a little low.
We probe.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I like to be probed.
I know. There's been a few times I've known that you've intentionally bent over in front of me, and I allow it. Touch bud. What are you looking at me with the
She's all
judgment?
innocent.
No, because
over
when you're
here.
like, yeah, I'm like, that's...
So, I thought we touched it with a thumb, not the two.
No.
No, dude, finger.
Sometimes I two finger it. It depends on how much cloth.
I don't know.
If you got jeans on, there's two.
Right.
Always two.
like a
fucking
kiss.
Quasimodo at Loudwire, Livewire, where Loudwire?
You mean powder?
Powder! Yeah, with the fucking jorts.
The kid that was whiter than us. Like Levi and I are the whitest people I know, and this kid made us look.
If he got any more fucking white, he'd be clear.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God.
He
that
was wearing
fucking-
basketball
She
shorts.
stuck her finger so deep into this kid's balloon knot, and he lurched forward and was like,
That big noise that he made.
he sounded like a choking donkey for
Well, that's because I touched so deep. I touched his soul. I saw his past life. I knew how many kids he's gonna have.
Oh my God, it was dirty and it
Talk
was
about a
deep.
seer stone.
Right? The chick in the leopard dress, I think, got herpes.
Oh,
From her.
probably.
That was hepatitis fucking
Yeah,
C.
there was something
Oh,
nasty.
that was
I wiped my fingers on somebody else.
Yeah, that was rough. I'm like, that was a bad choice. I think you just got herpes. And she's like,
Wifey fingers, wifey fingers.
On a passerby. He looks
Oh,
at
hey.
he's got it now.
It's like she like meets somebody and holds her hands out and is like, good to meet ya. Fucking wipes her fingers off in
I
her
just
hand.
wiped it on that dude, and he turned and looked at me, and I flashed my dimple, and I was like, "Hey," and he's like, "Oh, hey," and I was like, "You got her now. Goodbye."
All yours.
Oh, goodbye. You enjoy your herpetitis.
Anyways, so the righteous branch.
So we found an article
Yep.
on the religious branch. Was this like Pinterest or
Yeah, I found it on Pinterest.
fucking Pinterest?
Yeah, dude, I find a lot of shit on Pinterest.
yeah, right.
I love Pinterest. It's
So
not
this-
just for recipes
Right?
anymore.
For real.
Apparently-
Or crafts.
Now it's for polygamy as well.
And true crime. There's lots of good shit on there.
Oh, fuck me.
Yeah.
So this came from a woman who was able to escape the religion and told her story along with some of the things that happen within this particular cult. So we know that the leader is Gerald Peterson, who started it
Because
after
of the ghost.
Oh, God. Because if it's not a seer stone, then it's a fucking ghost. Of the Apostolic United Brethren leader, Rulon Allred, visited Peterson saying that he should lead. So he takes a chunk of the AUB and he turns it into this righteous branch. Why the fuck does everybody just get to make, like, you know what, the Father, the Son, and the Holy fucking what the whats came to me last night and said I'm a prophet. So, just so you guys know, they came to me, they told me. So now you have to follow me.
No.
Bring me your fucking daughters.
Yeah, it is.
Is she 8?
I like that one.
Bring that.
Yeah, because in this branch, young desirable women are a
Christ.
precious commodity, and they're worth a lot of money. They're looked at as collectibles.
Oh.
And no woman gets to choose who she gets to marry. Within this church, they do at least let you wait until you're 18, which other churches do it sometimes as young as 10, 12. Usually the standard is about 16. 14 to 16 is the standard. Some go younger, some do older. That's why
I
they're
guess
also
that's like
known
the
as
most
child brides.
pliable fucking...
They're old enough to bleed. They're old enough to breed.
I was going to say that, and I decided not to because I thought I would look like an asshole, so I appreciate you fucking taking that one.
I'll look like the asshole. That's their standard. That might
Well,
be one of their 10 fucking
Whatever,
covenants.
bitch. You know they're like, oh, there's no grass on the playing field. Fucking roll it over. We're playing the mud.
Oh.
If they're crawling, they're already in the right position. Oh, Nikki's like,
Before the hair does.
Oh, man.
no. We shouldn't laugh. It's
We
so
should
terrible.
not.
It's not a funny ha-ha. It's a funny, I'm nervous.
That was horrible.
It's a nervous giggle.
We're all going straight to hell.
Oh, yeah. So, for the men in this clan, the attractiveness or viability of the wife is based solely on how much money the man can put into the church. The more money you put in, the younger the bride. So
like the
naturally,
prettier the bride that you get, like the more money that you have to contribute, you should stuff your finger in his mouth.
no.
The next yawn you give, steal that shit.
I know. I was like, why would you say
I'm not
that?
sticking my finger in my cousin's mouth as we're talking about fucking polygamy. That's not happening.
Right.
I'm not okay with it.
I just wanted you to steal his yawn.
No.
Jesus. You guys had to take it fucking there?
I did. I always take it there. Take it to
somewhere
a 10. So, with the
Turn
younger...
it up or turn it off.
This got awkward.
That's our superpower.
So when it comes down to this, usually it comes out the very old men get the very young brides because they put the most money into it over time. And she actually talks about her dad was trying to get himself a second wife, and he was upset because he got a woman that was already past her prime.
Oh,
She already had a couple kids. She couldn't have any more. She was overweight. She wasn't attractive, and it was because he didn't have enough money to put into the thing.
It was me.
No. Shut up. It's not. You were
Fat
hot.
bitches bang better. I don't care what anybody says.
That's
We'll
for
do
real.
anything for a ho-ho.
Well, I'm just saying, we don't know when we're going to get laid again, so we put in fucking work. We are
do it.
givers.
Do
I actually can agree to that.
See?
It's true.
Heavy hose.
They do all the work for you.
It's
Right?
true.
Yeah. We know what we want.
Right. And we want it again, so we got to make it right. The
It's
first
like
time.
hiding a hot dog in a package. Bitch, we will get it.
Sniffing it out like a bloodhound. All you see is fucking foam and wrinkles.
I smell that.
Give me that yuck.
Slap some mustard on it. Do whatever you need. It's going in my mouth.
If it was socially acceptable to put hot sauce on a wiener before I ate it.
It's happening. Okay, sorry. Okay, so
Louisiana first.
this woman. Get it together, people.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So this woman, she doesn't release her name, obviously. She was sat down one day a little bit before she was 18, and they had said, we're going to have you go live with this family. It's single family. They weren't polygamous. Well, they were, but he didn't have multiple wives. You're going to go, you're going to help him out, blah, 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 blah. She didn't
Kind of
know.
like a live-in nanny type thing. Okay.
She didn't know that that was because he had already purchased her.
Oh,
And
fucking
he was going to
sneaky bullshit.
become... She was going to become the bride. So right before her birthday, they're like, oh, hey, by the way, you're going to marry that dude. Now, the sad thing is all of this is very indoctrinated for the women. She didn't really necessarily want to be with him because they don't get to choose who they get to be with. However, you still want, within polygamous marriages, within LDS marriages, if you are strong within the religion, your goal is to be married, sealed in the temple, families are forever. It's a big fucking deal. Now, when they got married, it was in the living room. She got a kiss on the cheek. Then they had the reception. I couldn't think of the name.
I don't know why
You
you're
were the last one to get married. That's why I was looking at you.
I was like, why did you gesture to me? I don't know.
I don't know.
So at the reception, it was the husband, the first wife, children, and other family. She wasn't even allowed to sit next to her husband at all.
Oh.
That's fucking bizarre.
Mm-hmm. To make matters worse, their wedding night. Now, also within polygamous marriages, to consummate your marriage, you have to fuck to make it legit.
Right.
Yeah.
If
But
you
there's
don't-
also got to be a fucking witness.
Yes.
Oh.
Most of the time, the old men's get to watch.
Oh.
As it's an old man raping a young woman saying, this is my new bride. But in this case, it wasn't like that. They rolled out a bed on the fucking floor for her in the living room. He came up, squoze her on the shoulder, said goodnight, and left, and was with his other wife. Because the other wife was not okay with the polygamy thing. Jealousy is a huge thing.
Yeah.
It actually took a month before they even kissed on the lips.
Oh.
It took 5 months before they actually had sex. Now, I have to find it exactly because
you just made me show my phone. All right.
So, when they went to consummate their marriage, awkward as fuck, I couldn't do it. I laugh when things get awkward.
Me too.
So what they do is they kneel down, they pray, they turn the room over to Jesus
Oh.
so they can consummate their marriage. They strip down to their Jesus jammies, aka their garments. If people don't know what that is, they're a special set of clothing that people within the LDS religion and the polygamous religion wear because they have to keep certain parts of their body pure and whatever.
Yeah.
They stripped down to their Jesus jammies, and they actually kept them on the whole time, except for they removed their bottoms when it came down to the sex. And he banged her for 10 minutes. That's all it was. He rolled off of her. She starts crying, naturally.
Yeah.
He just lays there, and then he's like, oh, see you later. And fucking left her
Bye.
crying and went back with his other wife. So, she can't get a relationship with her new husband. The other sister wife is a total cunt to her. Wouldn't even let her be in the same room with the husband unless her and the kids were there. Like, it was a big thing. It caused so much confliction that after 8 months, he goes to her, and he's like, this isn't working. We have to get a divorce. So she gets kicked the fuck out of the house.
Oh.
Which is a big deal for them, because now she's not... Apparently, she's young and viable,
but she's not a piece of anything. She's not a part of any family. Mm-hmm. You've got this person that doesn't want anything to do with you that you're supposed to be fucking...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, after the divorce, she goes into a super deep depression. Now, when I was talking about mental institutions earlier, it's because within this cult specifically, but also other polygamous things, I'm sure, and also other religions itself, mental illness and depression is not a real thing.
Yeah.
It's, you only have that because you lack faith.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Aunt Angel's Concernicist. I know where I'm at.
All right.
Okay.
Rumble strips.
Right. Right. So within the polygamy circles, like, your main goal as a woman is to grow up a little bit, start bleeding at least, get married, be sealed in a temple, pop out babies, support your husband in all the fucking ways, doesn't matter what way it is, and that's how your life is supposed to be. That still is kind of even the thing even within LDS religion. Maybe not quite as extreme, but as the woman, you are supposed to be the nurturer, the one that supports, the one that has kids, and you help be that pillar for your husband.
Yeah.
Anyways, she fell into the deep depression. Depression does not exist within the polygamy circle. Mental illnesses do not exist. It's all based upon your faith. If you say that you are depressed, or if you say that you are having issues, or you are struggling with something, it is because your faith is weak. If you just put more of your faith into God, you wouldn't be depressed.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a legit fucking thing.
You're right.
And if you have issues, you are publicly shamed for this. I mean, publicly shaming people or making them feel bad because they have certain feelings is nothing new. It's nothing new in any religious culture.
Or non-religious.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The reason why I even left the LDS church was because of something like that when I was 15.
Yeah.
When I told people at church, and it was kids, it was the meeting that's after sacrament. So you have sacrament meeting, then you have whatever the...
Like Sunday school.
Yeah.
Primary, it depends on how old you are.
Yeah, so it was adults and kids kind of together. And somebody asked why I didn't go to church all the time, and it was right after my dad had died, and I had said, because it hurts seeing families together. Like, I see everybody else with their dads. I don't have mine anymore, and I don't like it. Like, it hurts my feel-goods. So I don't always go. And this one cunt, and I don't remember who she is, but I hope that she grew up, and I hope that she listens to this podcast, because I can actually thank her. She looked at me and she said, well, maybe your dad died because he didn't want to be around a sinner anymore, because you don't go to church every Sunday. And nobody in the fucking room said a goddamn thing.
You should fucking find out who she is so I can collect her goddamn head.
I have to thank her, because that's the reason I'm not within the faith anymore. And then I found out more and more about the religion, and I was
I don't
like,
give
oh,
a fuck. I
this.
still want to put her head on a spike.
Oh, I did for a lot of years. I never went back after that day.
13 years old, after my grandfather passed away, who basically raised us, I was told that if I didn't lead a more pious life and start tithing and being more active, that I would never see my grandpa because he would be on a higher spiritual plane than me.
That's like a daily thing for you.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you, especially.
Many times.
We all...
I'm not going to say the fucking name out loud because I know it.
That's a thing, and I'm sure that happens within Catholic churches, within whatever. That's just specifically why
Which is fine. Like, I'm good with it now. I was extraordinarily upset then, and then I am the one that actually ended up super gluing her hair to the behind her ear thing. Remember that? That was me.
Good.
That fucker.
That was me.
Right?
That's so fucked.
Yeah, and it was bad enough that she had said that, but we were like 14, 15. Kids are cunts. I mean, we covered that pretty well when we were talking about fucking Shan to Share. It was when the adults in the room just kind of went, meh. They kind of shrugged their shoulder like, it's true.
The mom of the story I just told was like, she's right, you know. And I was like, really? Fucking quarter-sized dollop of super glue and some fucking hair right behind her ear. And if you're listening, bitch, I know you know who this is.
Anyway.
Shit.
So... yeah.
Maybe I'll just take that. I want you to cut it into a 30-second clip. I'm going to find her fucking email and send it to her because I know she's still local.
Just put it on Facebook and start having everybody share this. Everybody share this. Everybody.
Everybody.
But yeah, the whole point is that if you have a legitimate issue, and sometimes if you open up to people, they're going to use that specifically against you and make it turn it back on you. Like, you're the one that has a problem. You're the one that lacks faith. You're the one that, you know, you're deserving this because of whatever fucking reason. So that's what happened to this girl. And then her sister came to her and was like, hey, why don't you marry my husband? Because yes, sometimes sister wives literally mean sister wives. There's been many cases, even going back to Joseph Smith, where he married four sisters. So it's not uncommon to have your sister wife be your fucking sister
How
wife.
shitty would that be for him to put up with? Like, not only the wife drama, like, we're all sharing a husband, and now it's like sister bullshit, too.
I don't know. I don't have sisters.
I have one.
I have them all.
Yeah, you get all the sisters.
I have
that.
little brothers. Like, I'm the only
Luckily,
girl.
they're all way younger. Like, the closest one to me is 8 years, and the baby is 16 years younger, so it's not like I really grew up with sisters.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't really either, because Hannah and I are 10 years apart.
Yeah. So it's like, there's
Me
somebody
neither,
that is
because
my
I
sister.
literally had no fucking sisters.
Because you were the baby.
I'm spoiled.
That's baby sush.
I know. And people are like, oh, you only had brothers? I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm not, because I'm a spoiled little twat. Still to this day, I'm fucking spoiled.
Mm-hmm. You are.
What?
But it's fine. You? No.
I never knew.
But it wasn't long after her sister was like, hey, come marry my husband, that she left in the dead of night,
Right.
fucking ghosted herself, and now she's married to just one dude, and she's happy now. Like, she was able to get the fuck out, which is nice. Yeah, let's talk about polygamy, things that happen in polygamy, and also polygamy downs. I'm so excited. All right. So, more practices with polygamy. We know that sister wives are usually little child brides.
Literal. Child bridges.
Child bridges are standard. We like those child bridges.
It's where they all hold their ankle to wrist, make the bridge.
Goodness. And that women are collectibles. More money, the prettier fucking shiny thing that you get. Now, you can be caught molesting a child, including your own, as many stories that kind of get told as people have left. One man actually admitted to raping his own child,
Oh my gosh.
was excommunicated, and then welcomed back a week later. Usually...
Oh, I hope that taught him a lesson.
Right?
Oh,
well,
sure.
usually the wives are the ones that will get them back, because if the man is excommunicated, they have no way of caring for themselves. And it's also, they have to fucking support their husbands, blah, 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 blah. It's a fucked up cycle. Anyways, many polygamy circles also have a temple, much like the LDS church does. And again, like the LDS, there are certain rooms, practices, rituals, and weird things that happen behind closed doors that people are not allowed to talk about. And if they do, they could face death in the polygamy circle. And as far as the LDS circle goes, I mean, I don't know. They probably get in big fucking trouble. And I kind of talk back more on that when we talk about blood atonements. Anyways, some women are first raped by the leaders of the clan to make sure that they are good enough to be married off, or for the whole breeding thing that you were talking about too.
Okay, it's gone.
Okay, we're back. There's gonna be so many pauses. No, it hasn't.
No, it hasn't.
I just barely clicked it back on.
That would be a good blooper one if it had been.
Okay, so women can sometimes get raped before to make sure that they are good enough to be married off. So if some people are supposed to be married by like 14, that means that they're getting tested out at 13. And we say rape because that's what it is. It doesn't matter what they say when they're like, we must make sure that you are the right one for God and blah, 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 whatever kind of fucking dismal shit that I had found. And I had found this when I went down a rabbit hole. They were talking about a clan, and I couldn't remember the specific clan, and I was just like, what the fuck, where are we going?
What did they just do?
Where did I go, and what hole do I need to climb myself out of?
Uh-huh.
So another disgusting term that makes all of us want to puke is when these girls are told to keep sweet.
I fucking hate that term. I read it so many times, and I was like, I'm gonna kill everybody.
Go put your fucking shirt on. I cannot. With your nipples out right now. I can't.
Focus, Angel, focus.
I can't. Go
There's
put your fucking shirt on.
Table, we can't focus.
Let the man-child be.
I can't grow up.
Okay. Girls are told to keep sweet.
To keep sweet. Which essentially is a term that was coined by Jeff's FLDS clan and something that kind of spread to the other ones. And he turned it into kind of like a mantra, like a
commandment.
Yeah, where just obey what you're being told by the priesthood. In order to keep sweet, it requires the sacrifice of your feelings.
And that was in November 2nd, 95. Because also, like, the LDS Church, every 6 months, they have, what is that called? General Conference.
Right.
Same with this one. And then he goes on to say, keeping sweet means saying your prayers and obeying the priesthood over you. So basically, shut up and take whatever horrible things you face, or you can face death if you don't. Keep sweet is a warning that is said to women and children. It's one of those, if you dare even question the priesthood, if you step out of line in any way, you say, hey, I kind of don't feel like getting raped by my uncle, they're going to be like, keep sweet, keep sweet, keep sweet. Your feelings don't fucking matter. The only thing that matters is the men within these cults. That's it. And that's why I hate that term. I hate it so much that if I ever hear somebody say it and mean it, I'm probably going to jail. Because I'm probably going to punch him in the face.
It's so tempting.
No, not. Okay, if I ever run across a polygamist and I hear them telling their daughter or something to keep sweet, then I'm going to be like, kapow!
That is a dirty-ass thing to say to any little girl.
It's a dirty thing to say to anybody, that your feelings don't fucking matter. How you feel about the situation is nothing. The only thing that matters is the men within the church and what they want.
If it's punishable by death, I would probably be like, let's have that option.
Do you know how often that actually happens?
Probably
fucking never.
Oh, never?
Fuck never. Why would they sacrifice one of their fucking breeding cows? Are you kidding me? Because that's essentially how they look at all these little girls.
They usually just turn them into sex slaves.
Oh.
Like, you don't get turned loose. You don't get that fucking...
If it really was death, I would be like, give me that option.
Yeah, right? Give me that.
They will threaten you with death and say that you have to be subjected to a blood atonement, which we will get into, which is fucking terrible, so a lot of women shut up and do what they're told.
Ew.
Another common practice is multiple divorces. So a husband will marry a wife, and then once he wants to take on a new wife, he divorces the first wife, but she will still keep his last name. So then he's married to the second wife legally. She takes on his last name. Then he'll divorce, and it kind of goes down the cycle. That way, each wife can still say, I'm Mrs. So-and-so.
Yeah.
And it's also a way for him to be able to keep track of his herd. Like, then he knows which ones are his, and...
Whoa.
Yeah. What else am I supposed to call them?
A harem? I don't know what's worse.
I don't.
In the grand scheme of things, I don't know what's worse. Sorry, I keep fucking bumping the table. I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. Dun, dun, dun. And that's usually because it's a jealous thing. Women, they all want to have the husband's last name. So if one of the wives gets it, but the other ones don't, I mean, you gotta keep the peace somewhere. We've already talked. No, I'm talking about. We've already talked about some of these things, so I'm skipping over. Okay, but when it comes to all of the incest, this is where we're gonna get into some weird shit. Extreme incest will breed literal hills have eyes people.
So, case.
You caught up? You're with me?
Oh, I'm with you. I'm so fucking excited about this because it's recently, like within the last couple of weeks, they've actually expressed a state of emergency on the Hildale clan because they have bred into existence a whole new fucking genetic rarity.
Well,
because...
It's an extremely rare genetic disease. Before 1990, there was only 13 cases in the entire world. Now, from 1990 up until just a month or so ago, it was averaging about 1 to 2 every year over the past 27 years. And all of them specifically came from polygamous groups.
So it's due to, severe inbreeding.
Yeah, it's a...
you won't see it anywhere else.
Polygamy Downs is a fumarase deficiency that is caused by a mutation in the fumarate...
I'm a distraction.
Hydropeas in humans. I cannot with you.
I'm sorry.
Humans.
It's partially my fault. Fuck you, Levi. God damn it.
Okay, so if we're gonna go like a little nerdy, it encodes the enzymes that convert fumarate to malate in the mitochondria. And also, the reason why this is such a rare thing is because it's one of the few known deficiencies that happens within the Krebs cycle.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay,
honey.
people that have...
I don't make babies.
It has nothing to do with making babies. It's in your genetic makeup.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You have to explain it to me like I'm 5.
It's the main pathway of cellular aerobic respiration. It's an autosomal recessive metabolic disorder characterized by the deficiency of the enzyme fumarate.
Does it help to pull your shirt off your shoulder when you're talking about it?
It's indicated by a buildup of fumaric acid in the urine, which it doesn't have to be indicated by then, because usually when the babies come out, you can tell right away. They can usually tell.
You fucking... This one's fucked up, and if we did it like the Spartans, then it was all shaped wrong and fucking gross. We just throw it into a pit and let it fucking sort itself out, aka
this disorder usually happens when siblings get together and have children, first cousins, etc. It causes severe mental retardation, improper growth of the brain, disfigured facial features, epileptic seizures, all sorts of bad shit. And when it comes to children, 1 in 4 children have the odds of being affected, meaning that they come out pills have ICs. 2 out of 4 kids will be carriers of the disease. So usually that means once they have kids, it's passed down. And then the other 1 in 4 can come out fucking fine and be all right.
1 in 4.
1 in 4.
Good odds.
And
It's not like winning the lottery, but fuck.
So you have like
Take it.
6 kids.
Right?
fucking jinx you or a blowjob.
Jinx, you owe me a blowjob.
I win.
So that's the one real unfortunate
Hard slow
thing.
strokes.
Look me in the eyes.
Can we not? There's so many bumpies.
Okay.
Get it out.
She lies. We won't behave.
I know.
Sorry.
I feel like the fucking mom, and I'm the youngest one out of the three
I
of
feel
us.
a little bit like we're in school, and this is how it was when we were in school. Just saying.
Just say it.
To all the teachers that had us from
I'm making
middle
no
school,
fucking
junior
apologies.
high on.
Whatever.
There she is.
Fucking nothing.
There it is.
Uh-huh.
I was wondering where the fuck you were going. I was sitting there all fucking docile and shit.
I apologize for fucking nothing.
Just reminded her of school.
Is there anything else that you want to touch on when it comes to polygamy downs?
We can move on. Except for the fucking Hilldale thing. Like, they have actually stated that they have a crippling
Population?
population. So, no, they have like a crippling population of polygamy downs in Hilldale right now, where they're actually stating that like 43% of the fucking newborns experienced the new Down syndrome that is only found in inbred babies, which has completely crippled their entire population, and they've seen it like overflowing out into hospitals across southern Utah, where they think that this population will actually be extinct within the next 10 years or sooner because there's nothing left anymore.
Which, that doesn't happen overnight. Like, this extremely rare genetic disease doesn't happen just because two cousins decide to fucking have some secret tickle time one day. This happens after generation and of generation bang their fucking siblings.
Well, it's not just siblings. I mean, it's the close encounters between, like, half-brothers, half-sisters.
The close encounters of the uncles.
Like, close encounters of the uncle kind. Because Daddy Uncle says I'm the best French kisser in the colony.
My dunkle says.
Daddy Grandpa says I got the prettiest legs out of everybody.
Oh, God.
I got the best mouth.
Oh!
It just keeps getting worse.
Okay. Fuck. Blood atonements. When I first read about blood atonements, it's because I was reading about a case of a woman who escaped polygamy after her husband was threatening her with the blood atonement. And I was like, the fuck is a blood atonement?
Oh.
So then I went down the deep, dark rabbit hole. And it's crazy because it's still taught within the polygamy circles, and it's used as a way to threaten people. However, it stems from the very, very beginning of the LDS Church. and was not taken out until the 90s.
So the blood atonement was talked about with Joseph Smith, but heavily promoted by Brigham Young. What this doctrine basically teaches is that the atonement made by Jesus is not enough to excuse the sins created by man. Some sins are deemed so heinous that the person needs to die or be killed so that their blood can literally spill onto the ground as a sacrificial offering to atone for their actions. Now, they prefer it to be...
Volunteered.
Who the fuck is going to volunteer for this?
Because naturally it's very heavy-handedly forced, but they say, we prefer you to offer yourself.
We have to volunteer for this, and a lot of it is by force regardless.
Mm-hmm. Or they
take the action themselves.
Right. But they want you to do it because that means that you're willing to atone.
So you have to fucking...
No, you don't. Just wait. You have to be okay with being beheaded. Oh, sorry. If that gets picked up, Kratos is in here.
He's snoring.
He is. Or to be shot. That's kind of the thing. But they say that...
Oh my god, so I have to slit my throat,
mm-hmm.
or be shot.
Mm-hmm. Or be beheaded. It doesn't matter, as long as your blood literally spills onto the ground. And they want it to be voluntary, and Brigham Young taught that it is better for you to volunteer yourself and atone for your sins now versus spend eternity in damnation for your sins. But the fucked up thing is these terrible sins that are so bad that you have to be killed. Okay, so the things that are deemed worthy enough. Murder. Fine, I can get down with that. There are many people I would love to do a fucking blood atonement to, which is similar to a blood eagle, kind of. Give me all the pedophiles. I will make
Dude, there's
blood
nothing
atonements.
as gangster as the fucking blood eagle. Let's go ahead and clear that up right now.
I'm saying that it's similar, not the same.
Mary.
But we will get into it. The rest of them, I can't drive with, because one is theft, fornication.
Oh.
But it's totally okay.
We are all going to hell.
Right, but it's totally okay for the guys within polygamy clans to rape a young woman.
Yeah.
That's fine. But fornication, usually it stems if the woman is doing it. Men are usually exonerated of all their whatevers.
So you're safe and I'm screwed.
Are you a dude?
Well, I'm talking about the blood atonements.
Oh, well, no.
Yeah.
Fornication.
Oh, I get where you're
Yeah.
going. You're safe.
Yeah, I'm safe because...
Oh, shit.
Yeah, okay. Adultery, again, mostly aimed at women.
Fuck, my 20s have damned me.
Right? Joseph Smith was actually imprisoned after he destroyed the press and went to Carthage. And he destroyed the press because somebody in the press said that polygamy was a sham and he was nothing more than just an adulteress. And so he got upset. He destroyed the press. Then because he did that, that's why he went to prison. And then shit happened and he was murdered there. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very long and short of that. Also, Brigham Young was no fucking saint when it came to adultery.
Not at all.
At all. The other thing, apostasy. So if you try to leave the church, that is the worst sin of all, and you should have to die for it. And then the last one just... interracial relationships.
Oh.
Is deemed worthy enough by death. Now keep in mind, granted, when this was really enforced was the 1800s. However, when it talks about what kind of a blood atonement was, that wasn't really... The church tried to deny it in 1889. However, it wasn't taken out of some of the things within the temple until 92.
Holy shit.
So let's all let that sink in. Okay. So... Now, blood atonement, those words specifically, is never mentioned within the Book of Mormon, Doctrine, Covenants, Pearl of Great Price, anything like that. However, there are different things scattered throughout the books that kind of say the same thing without saying the same thing. You know what I mean? Where it says, there are some sins that even Jesus cannot atone for, that you must face. And I could sit down and rattle off all the different places, but nobody has a Book of Mormon in front of them. I'm not doing a history lesson that deep.
Can we not?
Yeah.
No.
But if you look into the old law of Moses, even within that law, it talks about pretty much the same thing. It says stuff like sacrifices of your flesh may need to be made. But however, every time the books are remade, a little bit more is kind of brushed away.
Like conveniently fucking erased.
If you look at a Book of Mormon from like the 60s versus one recently, there are lots of things that are missing. So
we can find that shit in my grandma's house.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's just accidentally, like legitimately accidentally forgotten, or if they're trying to cover up some of
like
their...
sweetly fucking...
Let's
let's
Put some dirt on this.
sweep some stuff.
Go ahead and get rid of that.
Well, that doesn't look good. We should fucking put that away.
So, since the birth of the LDS Church, they have always played a hand deeply within our politics, and we have proof of that going back to the time of Joseph Smith and Brigham Young. This practice of a form of a blood atonement, finger quotes, was implemented by the territory and state of Utah as a penal measure. So, in fact,
I'm so glad I'm not the only one. I'm like trying to keep my shit together.
God damn it.
I'm like, God,
Shit. Stop it.
I can't be a grown up.
You said penal. In fact, Utah had...
Goddamn maturity level.
And we're the oldest ones here.
It's okay. Utah had decapitation as a means of capital punishment in Utah during this time, which is pretty gangster, I will say. And that was it wasn't in for super long. It was like 1851 until 1888. However, we have Joseph Smith and Brigham Young to thank for the reasons why the firing squad was put in Utah, and that's the reason we still have it.
We've talked about this on previous episodes.
We have. So, now that was only supposed to be used for the most horrific
Like heinous of crimes.
Right. However, in the 1800s, what they deemed terrible obviously wasn't too bad. Like if you fucked around before you got married, or you stole a fucking wagon tie, or whatever, you should be fucking head cut off. Now,
You die.
there isn't a lot of cut-clear evidence that I could find of apostasy or interracial relationships used on the state level when it comes to the blood atonement. However, there is some clear evidence that it was enforced on the local church level without the judicial procedure. They also believe this notion of the blood atonement led to the Mountain Meadows Massacre of 1857, which was a series of attacks on an immigrant wagon train. Isaac C. Height, thank you,
And John D. Lee.
were some of the men who organized the attack. They wanted it to look like Indians were attacking the wagon train. So they had some of the local Indian tribes, they recruited them.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
the rest disguised themselves as Paiutes. Thank you. And within that, they destroyed over 120 men, women, and children.
Over the course of 5 days.
Oh my God.
The fucked up thing is they did almost some Trojan horse type shit. They came in waving white flags.
Like to signify that they were like giving up or they were friendlies.
And as soon as they got close enough, they fucking slaughtered everyone.
Holy shit.
And they believe one of the biggest people that they looked at for the responsibility was Brigham Young himself, saying that he's the one that ordered the hit or whatever. Now, is that 100% true? You can't really...
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to find super, super solid stuff when you date way back then. Now, as far as most people know, Joseph Smith always promoted peace, all these other things. However, he made some statements, and I can't even be mad about it because some of them I was like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, JS. I'm down with this.
Giving him nicknames and shit.
Right. He loved the thought of beheading. He thought that some people that have committed horrible crimes should have their fucking head cut off. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Line up the fucking pedophiles. Line up the people that think it's okay to kill a bunch of people. I don't give a fuck about those people. Chop their heads off, chop their dicks off, throw it in a soup, do whatever. Yeah, I know.
You're not making people fucking soup, Ember.
Nope.
Who would you feed it to?
Well,
I don't know, I'm fat. How hungry am I?
Right? It depends on how hard times get.
and I think the thought of beheading, and I'm not sure if that still translates over to today, but there was the whole thing within the LDS Church that we must always keep our bodies whole in every sense of the word, meaning that you don't tattoo, you don't pierce, you don't put harmful things in your body, and you need to keep your body whole so when the second coming happens, so when Jesus returns back to earth, you have a perfect vessel, as they call it. So,
Whatever, some of my piercings are my favorite things.
so if you cut the head off of somebody, their body is no longer whole. It's a way of disgracing somebody. Now, I don't know if that's still a full 100% thing when it comes to that. There's actually documentation of Brigham Young arguing for the law requiring whites to be beheaded for being with people of any color in 1852. And this racism definitely spilled over into scripture. The problem when you have men talking for God is that they can their own little
sweetie, there's so much fucking interpretation that goes either way.
Well, like homosexuality is a sin in the Bible, blah 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 blah. So it's fucking shellfish, like
right. So is polyester.
It's
all of
probably
it feels good,
one
so.
One dude, one guy couldn't fucking eat shellfish. He was allergic to it, so he's probably like, it's the fucking devil, and you can't have it. Another guy probably secretly thought dicks were delicious, so that's why he had to say homosexuality is a sin.
Dicks are delicious.
They are. So, having darker skin tone was also in it. In the scriptures, you hear about it first.
How dark?
Doesn't matter. If you're not white, you're not right.
Okay, but how dark?
Okay, you were probably part sinner because your bloodline had mixed with the, quote, Lamanites. Okay, so you hear about it in 2nd Nephi,
right?
In 2nd Nephi 5:21, where it says, God cursed the Lamanites with the mark of Cain, making their skin black so it wouldn't appeal to the Nephites so they could stay pure of sin. Lamanites were known as robbers, murderers, all the bad things. So in 2nd Nephi 5:23, it says that if a Nephite marries a Lamanite, their skin would turn black as they would take on the mark of the Cain as well. Now, was this the word of God? Or just a racial asshole wishing paper?
It's a racial.
It's a racial.
One word.
It's a racist asshole. One word. Yeah, it's a racial. Goddamn a racial. All right.
I cannot with some of this shit right now, and I think Nikki exacerbates this.
Sorry.
Don't apologize. So clearly the church decided that that wasn't the case after a lot of social pressure when they allowed blacks to hold the priesthood in 1978. Because 12 years before that, they had already allowed blacks nationwide to be able to vote. So, because of these teachings, many people did not want anything to do with blacks, for they had the mark of Cain, and this is going back to the 1800s. Now, while they may not be like their Lamanite ancestors, they still viewed black people as you still have that sin. You are still dirty. We cannot fucking commingle because I have the chosen seed. And you do not. It's fucked up. It's disgusting.
I don't want to use my seed anyway.
You cannot have my seed.
I'll keep it.
I don't want that.
So, according to Brigham Young, a white person being with a black person was the ultimate sin and betrayal to God. None of this is mentioned in the Bible when it comes to the great apostasy. It's not even mentioned in the LDS teachings when it comes to the apostasy of that era. It's just specific to this one thing. So it has nothing to do with the teachings of the whole splitting of the Nephites, the Lamanites, the Cain, the mark of Cain, and anything like that. None of that is mentioned. Only in those specific areas. If people want to know more about it, because I didn't go too much deeper into it, but you can. And you can go to ldslearning.org. Book of Mormon, Curse of Dark Skin.
Oh.
Whole bunch of shit.
Yeah. Well, even when I was going to church when I was younger, like probably 10, 8, between those, they would tell us that you can't have an interracial relationship. And then a couple like that started coming to our church, and I was like, oh, what's going on here? And I was so weird and awkward about it. Like, I just stared at him because I was like, what?
Well, and the reason why they allowed the blacks to hold the priesthood, some of the rumors or what's, is around 1977, 1978, they were also receiving social pressure. However, they were building a temple over in Brazil. Well, everybody in Brazil has darker complexion. Why build a temple if nobody there can attend? And they had a lot of people over there shucking money, lots of money. So you can't have people pay for a temple to be put in and then not allow them to go.
Yeah.
So that was more of the reason, was numbers in the church versus whatever. And I'm sure a lot of people within the church were finally like, you know what? Can we not be fucking assholes anymore? Rashels, or whatever the fuck I said earlier. Rassels. Oh no.
Racels. That's what it was. It was
Rachels. Oh god. Okay. So, when it comes down to the endowment rituals that happen in temples or things that happen in rooms that nobody can talk about, because there are rooms within all temples, both LDS and polygamy.
With the spatial handshake.
Yep.
Oh.
That you go in and you have certain ceremonies, but you're not allowed to speak on it at all. Never allowed to talk about whatever happens. So, you must agree or promise not to speak about it, saying that you would rather choose death. This specific passage that was taken out in the 90s, what it talks about is the manner of which you would choose your death versus talking about what happened, which they said was linked to blood atonement. Because when people in the polygamist circles say that you were going to be offered up for a blood atonement, they say, we're going to cut your throat ear to ear and we're going to disembowel you. That's what people are threatened with as far as the blood atonement. Now, the specific passage that talks. Okay. We know this because it's almost word for word on not only what Brigham Young had said would happen, but it has been passed down today. This was in the church until 1990 when enough people said it was too graphic, so then they changed it to under no condition, even at peril of your life, will you ever indulge information regarding the rituals. However, it used to say, you will have your throat cut ear to ear, tongue torn from its roots, breasts torn apart, hearts and vital organs be torn out and given to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field, body be cut asunder and all bowels gush out.
Sounds like lyrics to a good heavy metal song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that is kind of what the blood atonement was. And in many churches and in some temples, Warren Jeffs, actually before he was put into jail, he was in the process of getting an incinerator built in his temple. And he specifically got contractors because he wanted the incinerator to be above 2,700 degrees, which at that point destroys any and all DNA evidence. You cannot swab anything in there and get anything out of it.
Fuck no, you're just ashes.
Mm-hmm. And that was because, and it was in a part of a room, the sacred room, finger quotes, that also had drains in the floor. He had said that they couldn't do the blood atonements yet, but they were working towards getting it. And then
fucking
he went
gross.
to jail. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, the weird thing is, there is an incinerator by the Salt Lake Temple. Did you know that?
Oh.
Not to
Get
say
my
that
cogs going.
Yeah, not to say that they do that. I've lost
Does
my
that help you
spot.
think?
Yeah, it does. It does. But we don't know. There's no documentation if anybody was actually killed via blood atonement because they spoke about those rituals. Because nobody's gonna fucking talk about it and be like, yeah, we watched this dude get fucking murdered. You can't speak about it. And the problem with polygamy circles...
Well, I mean, you fucking can, but who's going to? Because in the grand scheme of things, even if you're on the outside looking in, there's how many different people that can come for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and within polygamy circles, there's speculations that people are born, but are never ran through a hospital. Like, they're born at home, they're never documented, they don't get a social security number, so within society, that person does not exist. So later, if they go missing, they're not missing, because they never existed, and the only people that know about them are the people within the fucking cult. So...
Uh-huh.
Go to Manifesto. Tell us about it.
So now there's a manifesto or a teaching of Jedediah Grant, who would later become a leader of the LDS Church, who said, it is the right of the church to kill a man, kill a sinner to save him. And when he commits those crimes that can only be atoned by shedding of his blood, we will not kill a man, of course, unless we killed him to save him. So, in 1857, however, another future LDS leader, Heber. Really?
Heber Kimball.
Is that where we get the fucking names for our shit?
Probably.
Gross. Anyway, Heber Kimball's offered different methods, like, not dismembering things, but, like pulling some strings for some different shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then what?
Yeah, so another speculation is Brigham Young put a hit on some saints leaving Nauvoo because he said that they had stole some cover strings and rail timber for their wagons. This was in 1846, but there isn't solid documentation that says that it actually happened. Brigham Young not only tortured his many wives, but he was an all-around racist piece of shit, and I don't care if that offends anybody. We have a university named after him. People look up to him as like he's some sort of great person. But once you dive deep and you can actually find written documentations outside of the church of things that he said, or even within the church. We talk about some of his manifestos here in a minute. Ew.
So another piece of evidence of what could be considered a blood atonement would happen to...
Sorry, this one upsets me.
I didn't know if you were mad at me digging my tits because something itched, or
no, I was not paying attention. Go ahead.
Sorry. So another piece of evidence of what would be considered a blood atonement happened December 11th, 1866, with the murder of Thomas Coleman, or Colburn.
It's hard to say.
Either way, he was found murdered behind what is now Capitol Hill in Salt Lake City. Really?
Uh-huh.
Huh. Now, he was black. He was a black slave who could actually...
He had a decent standing because racism only applied if they didn't like you type of thing. But if you were a good slave, they would allow you to come to church and they would allow you to even participate in some of the...
Just keep going.
in some of the things. You still couldn't hold a priesthood, which is a big deal within the church. Like, if you were a man,
like, even
and you aren't, if you aren't deemed worthy enough...
People were protesting the no black bishops thing. That was recent.
Yeah.
Within, the last 10 years.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter your race at all. If you can't hold the priesthood because of whatever reason, you are deemed pretty much a piece of shit and you're failing your family. But the blacks couldn't do it just because they had the mark of the king. Continue.
God.
Sorry.
So you still couldn't hold the priesthood, which is a big deal in the church, but you're less if you're a man who cannot hold the priesthood. So even if you were a pious person and you attended church, you tithed, all of that thing that, I don't know, that they fucking do.
But if you drank or had coffee,
Right.
can't have the priesthood.
Can't hold the priesthood.
Damn that coffee.
I would...
Ember's a fucking sinner in the utmost degree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Levi and I blow through so much coffee now. It's bad.
So, anyways, Thomas was having a secret relationship with a white female. A big no-no, as we've all kind of talked about. Well, he was meeting up with his sweetheart when some of her friends followed her. After Thomas and his love had their alone time, wink, wink, nod, nod, she leaves.
Yeah. Or so...
Or what
I
we
can't
think.
find any documentation that said if she was present or not.
So she may have left and these vigilantes would have come up. They basically beat this fucker in the head with a rock and...
They took his own knife.
Took a Bowie knife that belonged to him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and sliced him from ear to ear, taking off his head.
Nearly taking off his head.
Oh, so it was still, hanging by threads.
Yeah, because it didn't go through the bone. But...
Oh, of course not. That's a thick fucking... It's like a ham bone.
Mm-hmm.
So then they would cut into his right breast, all points to... Which lead to, a blood atonement thing.
Like when they talked about cutting from ear to ear, slicing open the breast.
So this would be a teaching of Brigham Young.
Yeah.
And that's, what it all looks like.
This is one of the ultimate sins. Interracial relationships.
The ultimate sin.
The ultimate.
Okay. How fucked is that?
Yeah, the only time where it differs from what teaches in the blood atonement versus what happened to Thomas was he was also castrated. Now, do you want to say the direct quote? Because...
All right, I'm going to say it, and nobody please hate me.
No, because it is a direct quote that was pinned on his body, and they had pre-wrote it before they came and killed him.
So I'm going to say this out loud, and to any of my listeners that might be sensitive to this, I apologize in advance. Just know that this is not coming out of my mouth as a quote from myself. This is coming from a direct quote that was pinned to his fucking body.
And it's important because it shows how... horrible it was. Continue.
Mm-hmm. And it reads, quote, "Notice to all niggers, take warning, leave white women alone," end quote.
Oh. And they had pre-wrote that, so they had planned it.
Like, this was not something that they just, like, came up with all willy-fucking-nilly. Like, this was something that they planned on doing. It was something that they had thought long and hard on.
Yeah, which I don't know what happened to the woman.
Yeah.
Now, his body was found a few hours later and was immediately buried in the middle of the night in December, which means
December 11th.
they fucking dug up
fuck.
the middle of fucking, not even the middle. Like, can you imagine how fucking hard that ground was?
That's what I'm saying. It's
it's frozen,
It's
solid.
December.
And they
Especially
buried
in
him
Salt
within
Lake.
fucking how long?
3 hours.
3 hours.
Yep. And then apparently there was a deliberation that went on for about 12 hours with some of the higher members within the church. And they decided to end all inquiries that happened when it came to Thomas's murder. So after they found him, they buried him, they talked about it, and then they said, we're never fucking talking about it again.
And they never talked about the female either.
Yep. They believe that this was a group of people who took Brigham Young's sermon, manifesto, fucking
Like, to
whatever, to heart, because 3 years before, the LDS Church has
General conference.
yes. So, he would say, "Shall I tell you the law of God to the African race? If a white man who belongs to the chosen seed mixes his blood with the seed of Cain under the God of law, death on the spot. This will always be so." Later, after the death of Thomas, he would say that that was in relation to white men raping black slaves. Bullshit. I'm just gonna call it
that was,
bullshit.
like,
he didn't
that
give
was-
a fuck about black people.
No. Clearly. Clearly
Why
he
would
did
he
not.
care if a white man was raping a black person? Because he believed that they were fucking sinners. Don't try to sweep that under the rug, Mr. B. Young.
Mr.
No,
B.
he
Young.
was trying to make that fucking lesser of the fucking two evils, because if that shit were taking place, everybody would have looked the other way and been like, well, fuck, they're kind of like cattle. This is what makes me hate people.
Uh-huh. The blood atonement wasn't even denied by the church. Oh, shit. Until
Well, that's your fucking
1889. That's my husband. Pause 1 second. And go.
So the blood atonement was not even denied by the church until 1889, which was 12 years after the death of Brigham Young in 1877. 1889 was also the year before the church would get rid of polygamy. So this would be considered, I don't know, like the beginning of the split.
Yeah.
So here's the church denying its truth, going against the word of God, which was offensive. But by 1890 is when they had enough and they took the blood atonement with them.
Yep, they took blood atonement and multiple wives. And they're like, fuck you, I'm out.
Well, that's fucking something to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
So, however, we still have evidence today that we took with us with, like, the whole firing squad thing that we still fucking have.
Yeah, which the reason why that was put in is because Joseph Smith was like, we can use that because once you shoot them, their blood will hit the ground.
Hit the ground.
So it's fine. I mean, we both get the best of both worlds here.
So now remember how adultery was first on the list? Well, but then Joseph Smith was murdered in 1844 in the Carthage jail. He was going to stand trial for destruction of printing press. And he did that because someone wrote something that was like an opposition to polygamy.
Right.
And said that Joseph Smith was nothing but a participant in fucking adultery and like
He was a piece of shit.
like baby touching type shit. So his first wife, Emma, did not want polygamy at all.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Also.
Weird.
And
Right.
what's the women's thing in the LDS Church when all the women get together at the end?
Relief Society.
Relief Society. I could not think of that. So when she was over Relief Society, she tried to openly oppose.
Right, and she was forced into fucking,
Yeah, Joseph Smith was like, listen,
this is fucking happening whether you like it or not. Now, rumor is that after he took in a wife who was their 14-year-old maid, after he was caught raping her. So was that kind of like the open door to polygamy, or?
That's what they think, because it is known through documentation that his first plural bride was Fanny, who was the maid, but they got married when she was 16.
Gross.
So
fucking gross. So more recent things.
So basically, hold on. Basically, he got caught raping her, and he's like, "Oh, didn't I tell you? We totally do polygamy."
Yeah, he got caught being a fucking pervert.
Pedo.
And was like, oh, but me banging this 14-year-old against her fucking will, totally okay.
Jesus told me so. Right.
Sort of. He said.
I saw it in the stones, bitch.
I fucking
all these hoes.
I looked in this fucking hat and it was like 14-year-olds that have not bled yet. Mine.
Mm-hmm. Now,
they're gonna bleed.
We say pedophiles now. Yeah, they most certainly were. We say pedophiles now, but if you take into consideration the time, it wasn't uncommon for people to marry.
No, I mean,
young.
when you were thinking about like how they didn't really make it to their fucking 50s, people were like peaking out in their fucking 30s. So yeah, their brides were going to be quite young, but fuck you for stealing a fucking teenager.
You got caught fornicating and being an adulteress, and then you were trying to be like,
adulterer. Adulteress would have been a female, but
well, he's kind of a pussy,
right.
So I know, I'm gonna piss. I'm so sorry, everybody. I know people look
Fuck that. I apologize for nothing.
People look at Joseph Smith like Jesus, so
that's true.
Whatever.
I don't mean to offend people's religion, even though I may not agree with it. Unless you're famous, then
we have a lot of listeners that are LDS, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. We're not shitting on you guys at all. We're shitting on the people that you follow. Just kidding.
Well,
not kidding.
Not kidding.
It's weird for us.
It is.
We don't get it. Now, don't get me wrong, because I think the LDS have a lot of great foundation.
They do.
With family and the way that you harmonize. I agree with that.
Well, and like Joe Rogan says, they're a nice cult. They're a good one.
Right.
I'm not agnostic. I'm not religious. I would like to prefer that I'm more spiritual. And I think that's because I don't fucking know, you guys. I don't know. Is there a God? I definitely think there's somebody fucking watching us. Is it more than one God? I don't fucking know. It could be. It could be some Viking shit where we have many gods. It could be one God. I don't fucking know. People are like, I know. No, you fucking don't.
No, you don't. No,
there's me, and I'm just like, I don't care. Of all the things I can care about,
you know what? No,
I care about that the least.
I have enough personal feeling that I've been in experiences where I know that somebody was with me.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't know who. And I don't want to pledge allegiance to somebody and have it be wrong. For all I know, it could have been fucking Crowley.
Right?
Fucking, like, holding my hand as I'm walking through the pits of fire. You know what I mean? I don't fucking know.
All I know is that I have this life. I know for sure that I have this life. And I know for sure one day I'm going to fucking die. The only thing I want to do is try not to be a gigantic piece of shit.
Right.
That's it.
Good person.
Don't be a cunt. The end. There's my Bible.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that.
I say unto him, be less of a cunt. Amen. That's literally all I fucking have, you guys. I don't want to fucking pledge allegiance to anybody.
Mm-hmm. So, on one of the most recent things, do you remember Ervil? Ervil from the Church of the Lamb of God.
Limmergird.
Ervil. So, he ends up going to prison.
Yes, he does.
And he talked about the blood atonement.
Yes, he did.
And on the 144th anniversary of Joseph Smith's death,
he orders a hit.
Yeah. Keep going.
So, a woman, his daughter, I think, talks about how her husband, her brother-in-law, and her brother and a brother-in-law, and an 8-year-old daughter were killed, found with a gunshot wound to the head because they had sinned and needed to atone. What fucking 8-year-old has sinned that bad that they need to atone through a goddamn bullet hole?
Well, not to throw anything out, but in the LDS religion, you need to be baptized by your 8 so you can be washed of your sins and receive the gift of the Holy Ghost.
I was 9.
I was 8.
Yeah, standard is usually
8 years old. I was not around at 8 years old, and so I had to go through a series of fucking classes with the missionaries in order to be deemed worthy of baptism at the age of 9, and it was a big fucking to-do.
Yeah,
it is.
Because you need to wash your sins.
But
because I have to learn the Book of Mormon stories that my teacher tells to me. Give this land, give it free righteously. Oh, shit. Fuck. I still know the words.
Well, and I didn't know what I was doing when I was 8. Like, that's what you do when you're 8.
does?
I thought it was
didn't
cool.
have
You get to be
yeah.
dunked in a fucking tub.
I didn't have to go through all
badass.
this stuff that you did because I already went to church. So I had, like, you knew more than I did when you went through it because I was just like, this is what you do when you're 8. You go get dunked. I don't know what the hell for because...
You get refreshments, a.k.a. candy.
Right?
Oh my god.
Brownies.
Fucking funeral potatoes.
You can
Who
dunk,
doesn't want to fucking
You
do
can
that?
dunk me for
And
a brownie and
a new
some funeral
dress.
potatoes.
I got a new dress. Like, what else
You
can I need?
get gifts. You apparently get the Holy Ghost, a.k.a. your intuition, things that you're fucking born with.
You're given the gift.
You know how there's, like, the devil and the angel?
Yeah.
I think that it's washing away the devil. That's what it is. I'm sure. So you just have the angel on your shoulder now?
Yeah, but
I have you on my shoulder.
But
Doesn't do you any fucking good, I'm sorry.
But I think people need to be baptized 40s. You know, that way you can really get washed of your sins.
Really,
Come on.
like 30s, 40s. Like, let people fucking decide for themselves and determine whether or not they
Exactly.
want to have that in their life. I think that's reasonable.
Well, if you take any religion and you forced it to where you could not learn about it, practice it, or anything until you were of voting age, so until you were 18, there would not be religion.
no. So, but then...
People can be spiritual and people can believe in a higher whatever.
I'm really
Because
excited about this.
to think that humans are the highest possible thing, humans are fucked up and we're stupid.
Oh,
there
honey,
has
we're
to
pets.
be something.
We're fucking pets. It's like that porno for Pyro song. We'll make great pets. We'll make great pets. No, there are fucking greater things than us watching us right now going, I'll bet I can teach that thing to shit in a box.
That's probably why they're like,
And
we
I'd
gotta
be
probe
like-
it. We gotta touch its asshole.
Right?
I will shit in a box. What do you want me to do? Is it Cheetos?
What next?
I will sit and stand.
We will probe it because that is where the soul is. Around the old butthole.
If my soul's in my asshole, I'm in so much trouble.
It reminds me of the Robot Chicken episode. My very favorite one is when they're talking about probing. And they're like, but why do you guys like to stick it in the ass? And then he's like, oh man, it's a long story. And then it shows 2 aliens that have shoved sticks up people's asses and they're fighting. And they're like, it's going to be a PR nightmare. Okay.
So, but then tell me about the prairie dresses.
Crazy practices, prairie dresses, and long hair. It actually has a purpose. Now when people think of polygamous, they immediately think of long dresses. It goes to your fucking wrists. It goes past your ankles.
I'm so sorry, I farted again.
Can we
trying
quit telling on yourself?
I don't even care that people know. I'm gross.
Okay. The long dresses in a basic uniform is to help with jealousy over the wives and to prevent unwed men from casting
Lustful looks on the women.
because it's our job to make sure that we,
But what if guys have that fetish? I mean, come on.
right? There's some weird
Come on.
So, and the long hair was to wash the feet of Christ in the second coming and also to wash their husbands' feet in heaven.
Yep, that's why the women have long
The longer the hair, the higher the hair, the closer you are to
I
Jesus.
wash my husband's feet with my hands.
I don't wash
Why the
feet.
fuck are you washing feet?
I don't really. I put lotion on them sometimes, but...
Okay, that's fair.
You're a better wife than I am. I don't.
No, sometimes I
He
have
does
to
it
put
to
lotion
me
on.
all the
Fucking
time.
Cute.
It is. It's kind of
Ew.
gross. Like,
He shaved
ew.
my legs when I was pregnant, too. Because
I
couldn't
know.
reach 'em.
That was like my favorite thing when she was all super fucking hefty ho with Addison and he was shaving her fucking legs before she went in to give
And
birth.
my toenails were perfect, and my feet were great. Like,
He's
it was
a good
amazing.
bitch. I told Quinn, I was like, you might have to shave my downstairs when I was pregnant. And Quinn's like, you just need to get a mirror and figure it out. He's like, I'm not lopping off lips. Like, I'm not taking that.
It's fucking delicate down there. I'll give him
I
that.
kept offering it, and I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, and then when I went into labor, it was all patchy, and he's like, you should have let me do it. I'm like, no. It's still all there. All the skin is still there, though.
Well, Clint wins Best Husband of the
Yay.
Year award. That's wonderful. I know, that's a weird sentence I never thought I would say.
Right? None of it. He's probably gonna like pass out when he hears that.
Now he's probably going to be like, I got a black
Now I
eye.
got
Gotta
it.
even get it
Now I
out.
probably some fucked up shit and cut her hair in her sleeve.
People can't know I'm nice. Right? Clint is not nice. He's an asshole.
He's
There.
horrible.
There. We made it better.
Das assholes.
A rashel.
So there's also countless documentation or other rumors about how Joseph Smith and Brigham Young would actually kill men, sometimes via the blood atonement, or then take their wives. And once you get into that rabbit hole, it's pretty fucking dark and crazy.
Yeah. We know for sure that Joseph Smith had 11 wives that were under the age of 20. 11 of them were already married. He had married 4 sisters, and he had a mother-daughter duo. There's documentation of him being a con. Particular thing, he went to a town and he said that he was like Jesus and he could walk on water. He made everybody come out and he started walking on water. And people were like, oh my God. And then they looked and they found
there were
that
fucking ladders in the water, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was a prankster. He was a goddamn carnival act.
Hey, he spawned a fucking church. Like,
Right.
good one, I guess.
Because it's still around.
Don't get me wrong. Some of my favorite people are LDS, and whatever makes you feel good about life, whatever gives you comfort, I want you to have that. I don't give a shit if it's a fucking church, if it's a blanket, if it's a fucking thought in your mind about somebody else that has like some kind of divine
something comfort
presence in your fucking life. If that's what makes you happy, great, because some of the greatest people I know on the face of the fucking planet are LDS,
well,
including some of my family. And so I don't ever want anybody to think I'm like shitting on you. I'm not. I just can't
get with it.
I just can't fucking get down on your...
But I will sit down and talk shit on any religion if you want.
Yeah.
The LDS church has a very dark and seedy past.
Oh, yeah.
And anybody who tries to say that the LDS church did not start out as a cult is a fucking liar. Don't let them tell you otherwise.
It still fucking is.
It did. However, like I said, it's a nice cult. But they really can't point and laugh at Scientology.
No, if you're gonna call a spade a fucking spade.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, and I didn't know. I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh my God, Joe Rogan and Leah Remini.
And I was comparing the same thing because I grew up and my family is really, really LDS religious, and I was like, no. But that was so crazy how much not everything is the same, but a lot of the shit is the same.
If you want to listen to another great podcast that talks about Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard, you need to go and listen to the last podcast on the left. I fucking cried. I was laughing so goddamn hard.
Goddamn last podcast on the left, they're fucking seedier than we are.
Oh, I love them so much.
I cannot at work though. Like, I'll be in the middle of an invoice and start typing what they're saying and be like, wait, fuck.
Can't retype Henry Sparsky.
Delete.
When he was doing Panzerram.
Oh God, I love them
had,
so
like, this
fucking
Batman
much. No, when
voice.
they did the fucking Candyman.
I gotta listen to that. I've been so stuck on Joe Rogan that I'm like...
No, Joe Rogan has some great ones with
love
like
Joe
Bud.
Rogan.
What's his fucking face?
I can't remember. I have it written on my fridge too.
The Everest fucking
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
response team. Anyway, sorry, that has nothing to do with what we're doing now, and we're fucking throwing out
Okay, anyways.
loveys to people that don't love us back. Joe Rogan,
we love you. You consume my entire day.
and if you could just love me back,
I know, just
even
a
just a little bit.
Just the tip.
Just the tip.
I just need the tip of your love.
Just a little.
So anyway, the split happens in 1890. However, we found that it did not disband existing marriages, and it didn't really even stop new ones from happening.
No, because there were like 250 fucking plush.
Yeah, polygamy marriages that
Yeah.
happened from 1890 to 1904 that was authorized by the first presidency.
Oh, yeah, they
so
were
they
like,
made a
"This is totally good."
public thing saying we no longer practice polygamy, we're denouncing it, blah, 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 blah. But behind closed doors, they're like, here you go. So, some of the personal stories is in 1984, 17-year-old Mary Mackett was married to a 50-year-old man. She goes on to have 5 children, and by the age of 30, she begged the old piece of shit so she could have her own house. He refuses, so then she tried to leave with her 5 kids. He finds her, abducts her, locks her in a room for a full day, trying to tell her that she must submit to a blood atonement for her sins for trying to leave. She says no. Then she's taken to Roland, Jeffs.
Yes.
Of the FLDS church.
Not really sure what happens in the meeting, but on the way home with the kids and the hubby, she like tells him to like pull over, right? And she bails. She's
bails.
like, I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge.
And I'm assuming she takes her kids because later that she says her and her kids got out and they're happy and whatever. But when she left, she had $20 that she hid in her socks. And that
was it.
Shit.
$20.
No clothes, no food, no money, nowhere to go, nowhere to stay. And they were just like,
I'm out. So in 1986, another FLDS member, Flora Jessup, I'm familiar with her, by the by, was 13 when she tried to make her, like, escape out and get, like, court justice for somebody molesting her at the age of 13. Mm-hmm. Now, the court dismissed her case, and she was forced to return to the fucking clan.
uh-huh. And as you can imagine, not only did you try to leave, you tried to turn people in, and then you were tossed back into the
back into the fray. So for 4 fucking years, this little girl was actually kept hostage, essentially.
A prisoner.
I'm doing that thing where it fucking stutters. Mm-hmm. But then, do we really know what happened to her?
No, it's basically wives are for breeding and slaves are for fucking. So by the time she was 17, she was forced to marry her first cousin, and she hated him. So one day, when people weren't looking, because she was always watched, somebody dropped the ball, they weren't looking, she escaped through the bathroom window.
Oh. And once out into the real world, not knowing how to handle everything, she turned to, like, exotic dancing, stripping to survive because
to make money.
She had no fucking other source of income.
No education, no anything else.
Right.
Did they let him learn how to read, I would imagine?
I think so.
Well, it depends because, and this is coming from my experience learning through documentaries and things of that nature, is like, especially with the Warren Jeffs clan, they thought he was the president of the United fucking States.
Oh, they did. Oh, they did. Yeah.
So they were taught to read and write to like a 5th, 6th grade level, and that is essentially where that is where their education stopped. Now, Warren Jeffs was noted to be the president of the United States. He was not only their prophet, but he led the entire fucking nation.
According to them,
and that is what they knew. Now, women, the only reason that they were taught to like read, write, arithmetic was for keeping a fucking house.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How can you read a recipe? How can you fucking do a recipe unless you can do math? Remedial skills. 5th, 6th grade fucking level. That is it. That is what you got.
you want to have them just smart enough, but you also got to keep them dumb enough so they don't start asking questions.
I see.
Now, how he excused as to why polygamy families has to be kept silent, because when they go out in public, they're not allowed to...
They don't, because you're an apostate. You don't keep the faith. I know this part because I have fucking asked questions.
Right.
So I lived in St. George briefly, in Hurricane, just...
Mm-hmm.
Hurricane. Just on the outside when I went to fucking school. So anyway, the reason that they don't talk to you and they don't explain things is because you're a fucking apostate. Mm-hmm. An apostate being that you don't follow the fucking faith and that you are essentially trying to destroy everything they've ever built. So when they go into public and they see you, you are a demon.
Oh, yeah.
And that is why they don't talk to you about certain things.
Well, yeah, but they also tell everybody that they can't talk and they can't say that they're polygamous because they will also go to jail. So that's why my question is if Warren Jeffs pulled off the heist, that he is the president, why would he also teach not only is everybody else a demon, but if we talk about it, we're all going to jail?
Yeah.
Why would he teach both if he's the president? That's my thing.
Exactly.
And why didn't anybody be like, yeah,
but if you're taught that from age fucking 3 until fucking breeding age, why would you ever fucking question that?
Right. Well, then you're not allowed to question the priesthood anyways.
No, you're not. And in the grand scheme of things, there's a lot of things that I still don't question now that I look back at. I'm like, that was fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. But it made sense when it was taught to me.
Mm-hmm. Anyways.
So then, actually, so we were talking about the young lady who actually was 17 and she, like, bailed on her first cousin. She started stripping, that kind of thing.
She also turned to drugs. Needed something to numb everything that had happened to her.
Like a fucking coping mechanism.
It was a necessity.
Right. And she has since then cleaned up and she's actually had a lot of run-ins with the type of, like, underground railroad that help polygamy victims get the fuck out. And she has, like, saved over 100 women.
Mm-hmm. Which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
When people leave, they sometimes have to leave without their kids, which I actually have a story I would like to share, which I have to keep the name very confidential. I can't share it, nor can I say the name of the clan because...
Right. It's polygamy. We'll just keep it that way.
Just know that. So I asked her some questions after Angel, had gotten very interested in some polygamy shit. I was taking up donations to help families get out. There's a thing called Tapestry Against Polygamy where I was making donations to them, whether it was money, food, clothing, whatever. She says, okay, I finally found some time to explain. I met my ex-husband at college. My LDS bishop asked me to invite him to a girl's choice dance because he was new to our ward. Now, don't get me wrong, he was a really good guy, and after a few months, I met his mom and his brothers. I was told that his father had passed away. About 6 months after we were married, we attended a family reunion where they wheeled out a 90-plus-year-old man, and they were taking pictures with my husband, and they wanted the whole family to go get a photo with him. I gave him a look, and the next thing I knew, there's 3 women and a bunch of children standing at his chair with this man. It was a very long and loud ride home with my husband because it was at that point she fucking understood, like, what was happening. Mm-hmm. He did explain that he was from a polygamous group, but that he had left the group. And it was always weird, but I was allowed to visit them on their family's farm. It wasn't until my son was born that I had legitimate issues with the group. My husband's father, will not say his name, let me scroll through, passed away, and the same month that he passed away, my son was born. So he was considered a prophet at this point. So I was offered $10,000 to hand over my son and walk away. I declined.
Obviously.
My ex-husband took the money without me knowing.
Good.
Yeah, dude, this fucking story goes way fucking south, okay? So, my ex-husband took the money without me knowing. The following week, we attended a family reunion in Hiawatha. It's a ghost town. The only resident is my ex-husband's sister and her family. Her husband is there trying to reopen a coal mine, and I was taken into the coal mine, beaten, and left for dead. They stole my son and headed to Mexico. The ex-husband's cousin/niece, saved my life and helped me recover my child. I filed for divorce. Hold on, I'm trying so hard to leave out names that I'm having to read through. I filed for divorce. I turned the papers in at the courthouse, and the FBI was on my porch the next fucking day. To discuss my ex-husband, I told them that I wasn't divorced, and they informed me that I was and handed me the papers. I found out at that point he had 3 other wives. He drove a truck for a living, and so it wasn't uncommon for him to be out of town for long periods of time. He was actually out visiting his other wives. We had multiple kidnapping attempts, and we have had to do protective custody thing. My son has been through hell. At one point, their prophet put a $5,000 bounty on my son's head and $20,000 to anybody that could kill me to collect her son. It's been fun. So, over the last few years, I've joined forces with a few ladies that have left the group. We help sneak ladies out and help them get started into a new world. There are many groups like Tapestry Against Polygamy and Polygamy Coalition that help people escape. There is a group that helps the young FLDS boys or the lost boys, and they're the ones that get fucking kicked out because the older men don't want to
compete. It's like men. Animals. Animals do the same thing.
Exactly. The biggest problem is that when women leave, they have to leave their children. My ex-sister-in-law, for example, had to leave without her 3 daughters. The judge gave custody to the father. Her 12-year-old is promised to a man who is 43 years old and already has 3 other wives. She's fucking 12.
Which is also insane because in Utah, to have a man be the one who gets custody of the kids is impossible.
Fucking
almost.
Impossible. So
that goes into
paying off some fucking officials. So as soon as she turns 14, she will be married because that's the age of consent in Utah. My 3 sister-in-laws are married to 3 brothers who are also their nephews. Let that fucking sink in. All of them were married by the age of 15. By 18, they can legally leave, but they have already had children, and most of them don't want to leave without their kids. One of my sister-in-laws finally got out, but she got out without her kids. but she doesn't want her kids. Her second wife is tending to the kids. It's very sad. The TV shows show no mercy.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And there's more that goes on to this message. I'm going to leave that out because I feel like you guys have the gist of the story.
And that's known to not any one particular clan. Like, her story has been told from almost every polygamy clan you can think of.
Ever. Right.
Mm-hmm. And one of the other kind of stories is actually something that we had talked about. Remember when we talked about the polygamy ninjas?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so Cain Blackwig raped a 14-year-old girl. He was put in jail. So, he talks to his wife. He talks to his wife saying they must get rid of the girl so all the charges would be dropped.
So, you've got 24-year-old Raven and 21-year-old Tylan dressed all in black, armed with a stun gun, knives, a tourniquet, saran wrap, syringes, synthetic heroin, and formaldehyde, and they break into the girl's home.
Their plan was to smother the girl and stage that the mother and the mother's boyfriend had had an overdose.
Oh.
However, the mother's boyfriend was a badass motherfucker and was like, not today, Pligwig.
Not today!
Not today! And they ended up getting arrested. Now, Raven received 15 years, Tylan was handed down probation, and Cain got 15 years, and the other wife received some charges because she was the one that she was like the puppet master. She made all the connections happen.
So were there 3 wives?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Only 2 committed. One was like the little brains behind the operation.
The mastermind. Okay.
Yes. So there's that story. Moving on to laws when it comes to polygamy.
Get in the meat and taters.
Mm-hmm. In 1882, a federal law called Edmunds Act was put into place where you would be fined, imprisoned, or both for practicing polygamy. By 1887, they started really going hard. They would hit not only polygamists, but even Mormons who believed in the practice of polygamy. Now, remind you, this is 1887. They didn't denounce it until 1890.
Right, so people were still, like, sweeping under the rug and trying to, like, boot, scoot, and boogie.
Yes. This is where they say that the secrecy had to start. Polygamy families cannot act like families in public for fear of persecution. Kids are made to be silent and act like they don't know their dads, other moms, or other siblings.
And they still do that to this day.
Yeah.
Like, they knew who their father is, but they don't fucking talk about it.
Right. After a few years in 1890, in the beginning of 1890, there was a case that was brought out of the LDS versus the United States, trying to fight for the rights of polygamy. However, in 5 months, after the trial started, is when the LDS Church denounced polygamy, the ultimate betrayal for God bowing down to the law of man. With the Edmunds Act, over 1,300 men were arrested and many more faced fines, some of which are big names within the LDS history. So, people like Lorenzo Snow,
who was convicted in 1885 and became a prophet in the church in 1898. Also, Heber J. Grant, 1899, had to pay a fine of $100, just shy of like 3,000, like to this day, like in our standards, became a prophet in 1918. Joseph Fielding Smith, 1906, faced criminal charges, pled guilty and paid $300, which would have been $8,000 today. He became a prophet in 1970 until he died in 72.
Mm-hmm. So those are just some prophets that got slammed.
Schmemmed up.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
However, now there is no law against polygamy. Oh, God. Okay, let me start over. However, now there is not a law against polygamy found federally as of 2008. Polygamy. But the states still don't recognize it unless you're an immigrant. If you come from a different country who polygamy is legal and they come over.
They still.
Well, they're saying that you can still keep your wives. You're not gonna face charges because you are an immigrant from a foreign country.
No,
there's
and I get
different
that.
practices.
Like, why should you be stripped of your fucking family?
Mm-hmm. Moving
That's
on.
a weird fucking thing to say out loud.
To March 2017, new laws in Utah means harsher punishments for polygamists if they are convicted of other crimes, such as domestic abuse or fraud. This is good for people like the Kingston clan. However, the law doesn't change its long-standing policy that it will not go after, quote,
law-abiding polygamists.
So if you keep your shit quiet, you are free to rape. This new law...
Which is essentially exactly what fucking happens in Salt Lake City.
All the time.
All fucking communities, including one street fucking over from where I lived, where there was a row of 9 fucking houses.
All pligs. So,
Wow.
this new law faced many objections from plural families, including the Browns from the Sister Wives. I think it's actually even in their show where they had went and protested it. However, it didn't matter. This law kind of came in because of all the Warren Jeff shit. It just kind of took a while to catch up.
Where he is now, like, he's serving life for raping girls he tried to call his brides. And if you guys ever watch some of those fucking documentaries where they have the fucking, like, celestial bed, where he would fucking, like, have sex with his new wives, and it was that weird... No, dude, have you seen it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
He's disgusting. We see through you. You're a rapist. You're a pedophile. Fuck you.
I fucking see you. You're a disgusting human being. He's still fucking running things. Do you see that he fucking ordered all the toys and all the books to be burned?
Well, and in 2000...
And none of the wives and husbands are allowed to have contact at all. So there's no procreating, there's no sex, there's no nothing. And these girls are fucking bred and born and brainwashed into thinking that their only fucking existence is to make babins, and they're not allowed to do that anymore. These girls are fucking crumbling under the thumb, thinking my one purpose
is taken away. And they can't say anything or else they're going to be told to keep sweet.
Or they're fucking apostates and they'll be fucking booted out.
Yep. And in 2016, 11 of his members were charged with food stamp fraud and money laundering.
Which actually... What the fuck, Jeff's, his little fat shit, gross brother, just got acquitted of that.
I know. It's bullshit. So what this new law does is targets those hiding under the flag, the umbrella, whatever you want to call it, of polygamy who are participating, because it is also known within polygamy things.
Like sex trafficking, human trafficking,
child trafficking, all of the trafficking.
All the fucking gross things
rape,
that people should not
incest,
fucking do.
And the state now believes that they should face a higher felony, meaning the law was previous that if someone could serve somebody, if they were sentenced with those things, if they were convicted of fraud, sexual abuse, domestic abuse, human smuggling, all that thing, is the max that they could serve was 5 years. Now with this new law, the max is now 15 years. So that's nice.
And also, bigamy is considered to be
a third
degree felony.
However, it bumps them to a second degree.
With fraud and abuse of a domestic child, sexual abuse, human trafficking, which it kind of gives us a bigger window to fucking get these guys.
Right. They
because
also
the law, it gives us like the safe harbor
for the people that come forth.
How many are there that are gonna fucking come forth though? Because even if you watch that show, Breaking Polygamy, which we fucking talk about, a lot of these girls are like, I gotta get the fuck out, but they still are like, oh, but my prophet is still Warren Jeffs, or I still...
You still have that dedication to your family. And see, the problem with the safe harbor thing is, the one good thing is that no charges will be pressed if a polygamist steps forward reporting abuse or if they're trying to protect a child. They will help you escape. The issue is it doesn't save any other of the children or the wives within the thing. So if one wife steps forward and says, hey, this is what's happening, this is what it is, help me get out, they'll help her children.
But that is it.
But everybody else goes to jail.
But who the fuck is left behind? You know what I mean? Like, that's a pretty fucking slippery slope, man. Like, those kids should be fucking whisked out of there with the goddamn quickness. And I realize I'm not a perfect parent, but I'd happily fucking house 2 or 3.
Right, so unless all the wives come forward at once,
and it's not
then they could...
It's like fucking 14 of them.
They could face felony charges along with the husband. And this kind of is a major step back when it comes to trying to get them to seek help. So, the only hope is when it comes to this law is if they crack down on one person, they will hopefully offer help to the other women. Like, that's not specifically stated,
Right.
if they will or not. But if it's not specifically stated, it can kind of be up to the state's choice, I guess.
Well, and not only that, but you're trying to reverse their entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what they've been indoctrinated with, having to keep sweet, having been told and trained their entire fucking lives.
You need to support your husband. Women
Right.
have killed
for their fucking husbands. Yeah, and they don't know any better. So,
that doesn't mean that they should have to face the same charges. As
no,
the
I don't think so
Fuck that.
either, and especially where they're so fucking brainwashed. When you've been fucking bred
mentally
and
abused.
borned and fucking borned. Mm-hmm. Put that on your fridge next to most smartest. Borned. I think when you take a female or a male, it doesn't matter, and you've conditioned them into this fucking thing, and this is all they've ever fucking known, Ember, and you compartmentalize that, what do you do with them?
It's a lot.
It is fucking a lot.
So,
Sorry.
polygamy law is stricter in Utah than it is in any other state, obviously, since we're the spawning fucking area of polygamy. It says that you cannot live with your, quote, spiritual spouse, even if you are only married to one person. Each wife must live in their own home. Cohabitation could get you in trouble, and I think that's the reason why the Browns had left Utah.
Because they had that house.
Didn't they move to Vegas?
Yeah, and then but then they separated houses in Vegas.
Yeah.
So, it also says that some of the language within the new law has changed. Now it states that somebody is to be deemed breaking the law, you have to be married to a second spouse and living with them, where before it was just one or the other. So it does kind of make it a little bit more difficult. And this law has some challenges, which I think will be cleared up. I mean, this just passed in March. So the rest of the wives, if someone reports abuse, as to what they would be faced with. And 2, the law gets muddy because of things like polyamorous, swingers, and orgies are not illegal. You can live with all of them if you're in a polyamorous relationship or orgies or swingers or whatever you like to participate in. And if you are convicted of any of the charges like fraud, sexual abuse, anything like that, you will just get standard fucking criminal charges, felony charges. But if you're polygamous, you immediately get the stricter one. So it kind of... those lines kind of blur. And I think that the only difference is usually within those other relationships, it's consenting adults. It's not old men taking little fucking girls and raping them.
Yeah.
I think that's where, but they still need to clear that up.
Yeah.
That's just too much.
Still, though, what I find interesting is Gary Herbert, the guy who received $5,000 in the Kingston's money before... is still the governor. So, but then where does that go? Because he keeps getting voted in.
I don't know how the fuck he keeps
There
getting...
must be a whole shit ton of them that are voting for him. Like,
I don't know.
Are there any of age, though?
I don't know. He's the one that passed off that bill.
Yeah, so he passed off this new bill, so...
Right. So what does that mean for the future alliances?
I wonder if they did it, if you passed it off because they paid him, but he's going to keep them safe. Like, I may watch too much TV, but I don't know.
So what polygamy clans has he fucking shaken hands and fucking kissed the babies? See?
Exactly. Now, I do think that this law is good. I think that if you are a polygamist and you're found raping a child, you should get fucking harsher. I think you should just immediately blood atonement that shit.
Yeah,
Raping
but
a
still,
child.
there's
Raping
still
a
fucking
child.
30,000 fucking polygs in Utah. And that's just like a roundabout fucking figure.
However, I do wish instead of just saying that they would get harsher punishments if they've committed fraud or whatever, I feel they should have focused more on the rape and pedophilia that happens within polygamy.
That's what I was going to say. Fuck fraud. If you're raping a kid, you die.
Right.
You're dying.
Exactly. So some of the documentaries that we've talked about, or
How much
TV
trouble would we
series.
get in? Like if we did some vigilante shit, we just start collecting the nut sacks
Right, I'm done.
and wear them on our necks.
Balchinian.
Balchinians!
So, documentaries, TV series, blah, 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 things that you can always find on polygamy.
Oh, fucking Sister Wives, Big Love, which is loosely based.
Yeah.
But I think now that I read into some other shit like the Kingston clan,
It has good undertones.
how loose is it? How loose is it?
I haven't watched it. I can't chime in.
I don't mean loose vagina.
Sleeve of wizard loose.
Oh, I saw fucking her sleeve hang looser than my shirt.
Like this.
But looks like Snuggie sleeve. Just folds and fuzz everywhere. But like if you stop and think about it, how loosely based was it? Because the Kingston clan lives in fucking broad daylight and people don't fucking see it.
Well, I think it's loosely based when it comes to some of like the weird drama that they've put in this show.
Is it though?
No, I think that's why I say loosely based.
Where the fuck did they get that drama though? Like who made that up?
There's always...
No, that's why I'm saying loosely based. It's not a documentary, is basically. It's a TV show.
I still think that there's like...
It's kind of like the Sister Wives. It's a TV show. There's some that is very true, but then there's some that's glittered.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
what
but
I mean.
I feel like somebody
Oh, yeah.
has...
A hiccup.
Yes.
It's like every fucking horror movie you've ever watched has something to do with this serial killer. It's loosely based on something that has happened in our past.
So, Sister Wives, big love. Escaping Polygamy is one of my favorites. Escaping Polygamy,
There's countless documentaries on
Oh my god,
YouTube.
it's
You can
fucking
find
everywhere.
All the things. And what were the places that you know of where you can actually legit donate money and not donate it to people that are actually using it to try to hunt down the people?
So the Tapestry Against Polygamy is probably the number one in the state of Utah that I highly recommend. Or you can reach out to the girls that actually do Escaping Polygamy, and they also have a foundation where you can donate time, money, clothing, whatever, to help people get out of polygamy, because you have to understand when these women leave, they have fucking nothing. They have nowhere to go, they have no clothes, they have nothing, and they're usually no money, no nothing, and they're toting fucking how many fucking children with them if they get to fucking take their kids with them.
So that wraps up our Leeeesteners choice. You guys chose polygamy.
You did this to yourselves.
We went dark.
With the whole wolf pack.
Holy shit.
3.5 hours. I'm going to be editing.
I'm so sorry.
Well, it's fine. I'm going to be editing for like 2 fucking days.
Do you want me to make you something? I can make you some fucking cookies, or...
I don't know. I'll probably be fine.
You like me to send you messenger, boy?
No. But,
Send you another husband.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I feel like it was really good.
Yeah, I feel like we gave some information that I don't think a lot of people know about. Quit doing that. That's going to make weird noises.
Could you not?
Sorry.
Yeah, we're good because the month of September
is going to be fugly as shit, and
if anybody wants somebody to blame, you can blame Jessica Collins.
Oh, that
Jessica.
fucking bitch. The Lebesian.
I'm tossing it under the bus.
Listen, Lebesian face.
We love you.
You beg for the toy box. You get what you ask for.
Yes.
Wait, do you know which toy box she was asking for, though? I mean... I'm
The
just
toy
saying.
box?
The toy box.
Specifically.
I was
Pacific. You bastard. I know where you were going. I know where you were going, but no, she's been
what I thought
begging
when
for
you
the
said that
fucking
at
toy
first.
box killer for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Angel told me.
You shall get what you fucking asked for. And what Ember has unearthed, I hope it fucking bruises your soul.
Well, because I'm also just going to say this now. The month of September is pretty much nothing but sexual sadist. The toy box is going to be broken up into 3 different parts.
Sexual sadist?
Mm-hmm.
Nene. Guy was a fucking psycho in all accounts.
Well,
the
yeah.
things he didn't... that's not a sadist.
Oh, no. He's ranked the, top 5, either number 1 of
Number 1.
FBI's
in my
worst sexual sadist in the history.
Can we give, a small preview?
No.
God damn it. All right.
Because Jessica asked and asked and asked and asked, so...
Shout out to Jessica for our nightmares.
Yep.
And you
But-
will get what you fucking asked for in more than one ways.
And we're spanning it over 3 weeks. And...
Fuck you, stupid face. This is what you get.
I'm going to be sleeping at your house.
And...
No.
I hope that I can make everybody giggle but also be equally fucked how I was. I spent months researching this, and it fucked heavy with me. I was researching one day, and my sister and her boyfriend and my cousin and her boyfriend walked through the door, but it was like 9 o'clock at night, pitch black, and then all of a sudden I see people walking down the hall. I hit the fucking floor. I almost had a heart attack. I couldn't sleep.
Oh, no. That's me normally. That's me every day.
Right.
Just saying.
So everybody get ready, because we're doing the toy box, and then right after the toy box, towards the end of September, we're doing the Chicago River Crew.
Oh my god. You have no fucking idea.
So
when I grab you and I fucking shake you,
I'm apologizing now because
apologize for fucking nothing.
No, I can apologize.
This is what people tune in for.
I know. I'm just saying I apologize now because I didn't mean to put both of them back to back. But that's how it happened, and then I'm like, yeah, fuck it. We're gonna keep it. So I'm really excited, and I'm really disturbed by the month of September. But there's what we have.
We're moving into All Hallows Eve, so it kind of
we're gonna slide right on in.
We get to both celebrate our anniversaries.
Please. I want to go to Denver for that show or the expo.
I just want to do something fun.
That's why I want to go to Denver for that expo. I have places I need to visit. I have
Pappadeaux's Cuban food. We can go see fucking Steph and Elliot.
Yes, we can go raid their house. We can celebrate our anniversary. We can look at all things dead and awesome.
Mary.
Anyways, also, we are going to be doing our first listeners story mini episode thing, which is actually going to come out Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a mini-sode.
Mm-hmm. We're covering Tanner Barton's case after we've been in touch with his mother. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, me too. But it was a lot of information that you specifically, not me, because I suck at answering emails. You've done an amazing job. I don't want a job anymore.
Then don't have one. Come be homeless with me.
Mary, pay the bills.
Quick shout outs that we have this week is specifically to the Rob and Slim show. We were on their show last week, and we're actually going to be on their show again this week. When this episode drops, we will be on their show. We're like herpes. We're just going to keep popping up.
Back. So, but then I'm going to ask you the fucking question that I threw out. Fuck, marry, kill. Slambo, Rob, Slim.
Oh.
You first.
I don't know them, though.
All right, you.
I'm out.
I cannot.
No? Okay, I'm going to fuck Rob. I'm going to marry Slambo, because Slambo's closest to my fucking husband with the beard and whatnot. I'm going to kill Slim.
Oh, sad.
You're not going to be on
Slim is hilarious.
Yeah, but he feels like an easy target, and I feel like I could manipulate him into anything.
You never killed a funny one.
Oh.
Okay, so
we'd all be dead.
Your turn.
Fuck Rob.
Okay.
Marry Slim. Kill Slambo, because he's already leaving the show. He's betrayed my trust.
Ooh, Slambo.
And Slim and I can sit and we can read songs. Because he's taken songs, and then he just reads them, and for some reason, it's the funniest fucking thing. He'll be like, sweat drop down my balls. All these bitches crawl. Skeet, skeet, motherfucker.
Skeet, skeet.
Shit, I used to do it to my little brother. I would just start talking in a song to my little brother, and he would just laugh. He was like 11 at the time, and he's like, Calvin Jr. And he would just sit there, no, senior, because he's older than him.
I knew what you meant.
I was backwards. And he would just sit there and laugh, like he couldn't form anything because he would just laugh and snort. I'm like, you know all these words, why is it so funny? I'm just saying them.
Right.
It's my favorite.
Right? It's awesome. He did the one where he was like,
I've seen you as pretty as I see you now.
Oh shit!
Like
fucking romance. Pure gone.
No, like when you're doing that thing where you watch her and I get to look at you.
Maybe it turns her on that like.
No, it's not. No.
Well,
You're pretty.
So are you. So are you.
Oh,
We have a beautiful group of people here at the table.
All such pretty women.
Let me pick my nose to even it out real quick.
It's a beautiful
You just look really pretty. Okay, all right. So, but then, thank you all for listening.
Yes. Oh, real quick. Natecast. Nate with Natecast is the one that helped us design our shirt of the true crime Holy Trinity.
That was some Joe Rogan shit right there. When he always...
I was just going to go with it. I already
Natecast. Boom, 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 boom.
So thank you so much, and we're actually going to play his promo at the... we probably played it at the beginning. I don't know where we played it because I haven't thought it out yet, but it's going to be in here somewhere.
I'm sorry, this is not my bag. And also,
Not my bag.
The sexy bitches from Nothing
rhymes with murder.
I love
them.
Sorry, I just showed you my bruh.
Show me your teeth.
It's not like you haven't seen
Make them
them
bounce.
before.
Like, jump up and down a little. Yeah! Woo! Woo!
They're in a sports bra. They're not as bouncy right now.
I know, but you could do some jumping jacks and that would make me feel better.
I do not do the jumping jacks. But anyways, the girls with Nothing Rhymes with Murder, and they were so awesome, and they had us on their 10th episode, which we talked about a little bit last week, but then I listened to it, and listening to everybody else that was on there too. There's another podcast, Wine and Crime, and one of the girls in there sounds exactly like one of my favorite female comedians, Kathleen Madigan. I fucking instantly was like, I'm in love.
Squirt, squirt, squirt.
But our girls from Nothing Rhymes with Murder, they're fantastic Brits, and I love their fucking accent, and they make everything just sound so
I want them to send me something. I think we should do like a snack. Fucking... Exchange.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna
podcast
I have to make them that Murder Perturder shirt. Because they talked
Murder Perturder.
about it. When we said Nothing Rhymes with Murder.
Murder rhymes with Perturder.
And they're like, yes, we need to do that. So I need to design a murderous
I want to do a
potato.
snack exchange with like all my fucking foreign folk
Yes.
so that we can send them fucked up shit like
Let's all be pen pals. We'll send each other foods that are
dill
weird.
pickles and fucking caramellos, like things that don't go together.
That's
Ew.
like my favorite stuff. That sounds like amazing to me.
I know, to me
God,
too.
are you guys
but
pregnant? That's
No, when I'm
disgusting.
pregnant, I eat normal, but when I'm not pregnant, that's kind of that kind of shit.
does that not sound
That
fucking
sounds
awesome?
amazing.
Steve, thank you.
No, but no. Caramellos, good. Pickles,
I used to
meh. Eat them at the same time, abomination.
Well, you don't put them in your mouth at the same time. You like alternate.
No.
you fucking could.
No, you don't. You don't alternate. That is
No.
I used to do Pop-Tarts and pickles. Like, that was my favorite thing. Everybody's
Oh
like,
my
are you
God.
pregnant? I was like, no. This is how I roll.
gross.
I think that like pickles and caramellos with like
that
a
sounds
nacho
so
cheese,
good.
like I just want to fucking dip my finger in nacho cheese and fucking eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Or like dip a
the
fried
pickle.
Yeah. Dip a pickle in nacho cheese.
I don't
why
know
we're
who you
fat.
people are anymore.
I mean,
This is why we're fat.
That sounds
That
like
is good.
the most disgusting thing.
Oh,
The only way
really?
you can make it
'Cause my
worse is
nipples
if
are
you're
fucking
like,
hard.
and then we have fry sauce.
Oh.
You just made it so much better because you
I
can
know.
alternate your pickle dip.
If I had a
between-
dick, it would be erect.
See, and I love how we're all friends, but Angel and I have found we fight all the time over things. Like, she likes fucking pumpkin spice, all the things.
Me too.
Everything.
And so do you.
See?
Fucking everybody's Team Angel. I literally have like one other person on my team.
We've
Fuck
been
that.
pumpkin spice since before it was cool too.
For real.
I can do a pumpkin pie.
I love pumpkin
fuck
pie
that.
too.
I cannot with that fucking
With all the whipped cream.
mush. No.
I don't love
Fuck whipped cream. I hate whipped cream.
So do
Out of the can.
No.
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 None of the unless I'm just getting the whippets.
Well,
Yeah.
I know that.
But why would I
Slut.
choose pumpkin spice bullshit when there's apple shit?
Well, apple shit's good too.
Caramel apple cookie.
Yeah,
The
that's
caramel-
awesome.
No, and maybe you should make fucking more of those.
I need to. Maybe I need to try these so I can see what you're saying.
Oh, I thought it was lighter. I would
Apple
like that on
cider
fire.
and fireball.
No. Oh.
If I'm doing a drink,
No,
I'm not gonna have pumpkin spice latte. That's an abomination across the board.
Those fucking cookies that she makes with the fucking gooey, what's in the fucking middle.
I just need to get this stuff and make them.
What do you need? Where are
Where do we
go
get it?
shopping? I'm going to the store right now.
But anyways, this has been Color Me Dead.
I'm sorry.
We just went on a glorious little nature hunt.
Ooh, you have vagina in your chest. You have vagina in
Don't
your
make
chest.
fun of my pussy cleavage. My boobs are squished in there. I can't help that.
I can't help you.
See, look, they're squished. I just have a different kind of vagina now. Finger bang my cleavage, please. Anyways. Go to colormedeadpod.threadless.com if you want some sweet merch.
Yeah, and definitely check out audibletrial.com
/colormedead.
if you want to check out some fucking sweet books. I'm sorry, your titty
I
stuff.
can't.
Starting...
No, for real though, you should check out our shit because Ember put in an immense amount of fucking labor into creating some designs, and they're fucking outstanding. And if ever there was a time to pat you on the back, now is the fucking time. And
I need you to quit complimenting me because it makes me feel weird.
I'm getting awkward
being
for
nice.
you. Just sitting over
no,
here.
I need you guys to understand how much.
I don't know how you should act right now.
No,
so
I need you guys to understand how much time and effort that Ember puts into this because I work a full-time job and I suck. And she
Quit.
does all the fucking research for the most part, and she does all my design fucking work, and she deserves all the fucking pats on the back, ass, and fucking China.
Ass China.
And on her China!
You just show up and be pretty.
And you're
Say
funny.
your shit.
And you're funny.
Ready?
And you help put money into things because I cannot, because I have 3 demon babies. But anyways, email us if you have a story that you want to tell, or if you just want to bullshit with us, colormedeadpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at colormedeadpod. Find us on Facebook at colormedeadpodcast. Angel's whipping out the fucking goldfish right now.
Maybe.
And come join our group at Color Me Dead Group. Nikki, thanks for coming in since you are our fucking sister wife.
Why, thank you.
We would think Levi, but he bailed.
I kicked him out because you two could not behave.
We really couldn't. It was seriously just like, it was like junior high all over again.
He was a distraction.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi,
We're
baby.
gonna
Come say goodbye. Come say goodbye.
Goodbye!
And say, don't have multiple wives.
Don't have multiple wives.
No, you gotta say it loud.
Don't have multiple wives.
And stay out of chat lines.
And stay out chat line.
Goodbye.
Goodbye!
Goodbye!
Say goodbye, Levi.
And excuse me, I just had a fart. We